Welcome in to another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wasserman here with our Week 3 grade release show, going over the grades, the biggest stats, the most impressive parts of some of the biggest games of Week 3 of college football. And Dalton, what a freaking Week 3 we had. It felt like we had an instant classic in every single slate, whether it be the noon slate, the 3:30 slate, or the night slate. My voice is going on here right now. It was an incredible day of college football yesterday.
Yeah, no, 12 hours of spectacular football. And even what we got on Friday night with a couple of those games was really entertaining stuff. I mean, this is what college football is all about. And I feel like, of course, I should feel like this every year. But each week that passes by right now, I feel like we have less and less clarity on what's going to happen at the end of the year. You have a lot of teams that are trying to figure it out. Some teams are winning despite trying to figure things out. Some others are off to some starts that they are extremely worried about. This was quite a weekend in college football, and it's only going to get more chaotic.
It's getting so chaotic right now. So we have a lot to go over today on this grade release show. I want to remind you guys right now, you can get a PFF Plus subscription for 25% off when you use the promo code PFFCFB25. Again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. You get access to all the same data and grades that we'll go over on this show, all the same data and grades that every single one of the 136 FBS teams subscribe to, and also every single one of the 32 NFL teams subscribe to, too. Also get access to our 2026 NFL Mock Draft Simulator, and, of course, the best betting tools and the best fantasy football tools on the planet. Download the PFF app right now, and, of course, again, use the promo code PFFCFB25 to get 25% off and help the PFF College Football Show win this competition we have against some other podcasts right now. Dalton, we had the early lead in the competition, but unfortunately the Fantasy Football Show has passed us. So we want to pass them again. So help us out, PFFCFB25 to pass them.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate and John, man, they're working for it. I'll give them that much. You know, Nate's always got an answer for everything, and he certainly has an answer for this. So we got to work hard to get this. Help us out, guys.
Absolutely. All right. So the first game of this grade release show is an instant classic, and unfortunately for our producer Eli, not one that went in his favor. Number 6 Georgia beating number 15 Tennessee, 44-41. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the Georgia Bulldogs. Also an overtime game, by the way. Highest graded player for Georgia was their quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, 80.6 grade in the win. Next up was the center, Drew Bobo, 78.1. Tight end Lawson Lucky, 75.3. Jonel Guerrero, the corner, 73.9. London Humphreys with the major fourth down touchdown catch to tie the game, 71.9 grade the wide receiver. Another wide receiver here, and Colby Young at 71.3. Let's go over to Tennessee with their highest grade players in the loss. Highest grade player was edge rusher Joshua Josephs, 82.2 grade. Another edge rusher here in Jordan Ross, 76.8. Wide receiver Braylon Staley, 75.8. Edge rusher Tyree West, 75.7. Running back Star Thomas, 75.2. And Joey Aguilar, the quarterback, with a 68.8 grade. Dalton, for you, what told the story?
Listen, we didn't think this game would be this high scoring, but one thing we asked for on Tuesday when we did our preview was for Gunnar Stockton to throw the ball downfield, and he did a fantastic job of it. On 10-plus yard throws, 6 of 9, 147 yards, a touchdown, 3 big-time throws. All of those big-time throws against the blitz, by the way. He had, I believe, a 91 passing grade against the blitz. 4 of those 6 completions outside the numbers. He was attacking from sideline to sideline, and I think it was just fitting in this game that Gunnar Stockton's very first throw was a deep ball down the right sideline that ignited Georgia's first drive, and his very last throw was the touchdown to London Humphreys that eventually tied the game. I just think this is what we asked for from Gunnar Stockton. Kirby Smart has to feel so good about it. Look, we came into this season, Georgia's always going to be great on defense. In this game, they were not great on defense, and if you said this score was going to be up in the 40s, I would have told you earlier this week that Tennessee would have won for sure then at that point, because we just didn't expect Georgia to come out and score 44 points. Obviously, they ran the ball well as the game went on, but Gunnar Stockton was the X factor in this game. The fact that he could give them a performance like that in an environment like this when Georgia got punched in the mouth early on, all of a sudden Georgia has to feel a lot better about their SEC title chances and their national title chances with their quarterback playing like this. If he can do this on a consistent basis, especially throwing the ball down the field, you've got a whole different different situation in Athens.
I'll go out of order here because my most impressive was Gunnar Stockton in this game. You mentioned all the downfield numbers right there. He's a gamer. This guy is a gamer, man. 81.1 passing grade, 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. A beautiful 4th down throw to London Humphreys to tie the game with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in regulation. You mentioned before he needed to push the ball downfield. That was the way to beat this Tennessee defense. He did just that in this game too. He also was very productive on the ground. He had 10 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown on the ground with also 3 rushing first downs on top of that too. So he's a dual threat quarterback. You said it right there too. I was going to say the same thing. If the winning score was going to be in the 40s, I would have said Tennessee was going to blow Georgia out of the water. I did not think Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's offense was capable of winning this kind of shootout. I was dead wrong about that. So Gunnar Stockton, hats off to you, man, because you were an absolute gamer in this game, and he was fantastic, I thought.
And what this game does, again, in this environment, and Tennessee's really good. Let's say that first, too. I know Eli back there is upset, but Tennessee's a playoff contender. The way that they're playing on offense, the way that Joey Aguilar is playing, they need to obviously in big games get a little bit better in coverage. Just the one thing that I told you about last year, the 3 lowest graded games in coverage, they lost those games. They were not good in this game. They have lost 8 of their last 10 games, Max, when their coverage grade is below a 60. That's really the X factor. Who knows? Maybe if that'll get fixed when if and when Jermod McCoy gets back into the secondary later this season. But I still think Tennessee is absolutely a playoff contender. I think this loss, despite it going the way it did, obviously with the missed field goal, they had every opportunity to win this game. Tennessee is going to be battling near the top of the SEC. They're going to be in the at-large conversation, especially if they keep playing offense and Aguilar keeps playing the way that he's playing. Tough loss, but I just think, again, that's been the X factor with these Tennessee losses lately. It's just the teams that can attack them vertically and match them big play for big play. Those are the teams that are beating them lately.
So my stat is basically going off that on the defensive side, a 48.5 coverage grade combined for both Georgia and Tennessee in this one. Defense is really optional in this game. Tennessee with a 48 coverage grade against Georgia. That was Tennessee's worst coverage grade in a game since the Georgia game in 2023, 2 years ago. So Georgia just has their number, it seems like, in coverage, at least in the last couple of years. Georgia with a 56.5 coverage grade against Tennessee. The Volunteers averaged 10 yards per pass. Georgia averaged about 9.5 yards per pass. This is the first time ever that Josh Heupel scored more than 17 points against Kirby Smart. Dalton, he had 21 points in the first quarter of this game. So they put up 41 points. It wasn't enough, though, to take down the Georgia Bulldogs. Ultimately, though, you want to shout out someone here on Tennessee who actually was not on the top 5 highest graded players. I was surprised by that, and I think some viewers might be surprised by it, but also this guy had a great game.
Could get tinkered with in the review process when we go over the All-22. But if Tennessee had won this game, I think this might have been known as the Chris Brazzell game. 6 catches, 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, all on targets of 20-plus yards down the field. 2 of them were just absolutely mossed a defender one-on-one. Chris Brazzell was the big playmaker for Tennessee in this game. Deserves a lot of credit for the explosiveness that Tennessee had in this game. And again, it's just a matter of Tennessee. Look, their offense was more than good enough to win this game. They had an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal and missed it. And at the end of the day, again, it's a loss. But I think you come out of this game, despite the way it went, and it was gut-wrenching, feeling really good about Tennessee and their playoff chances moving forward. But Chris Brazzell was fantastic in this game. He was Tennessee's best player to me.
Unfortunately, producer Eli did not want to be on the show today, hear his voice on the show. So he's going through it right now back there.
I know. He's probably pretty upset that he's here at all, having to hear us talk
also,
about this.
His team lost, but also his upset pick lost, too.
Well,
he doubled down on Tennessee this week.
All in one, he sure did. And so close. So close. And honestly, the way these two played and the way the chaos in the SEC is shaking out, could we see these teams play again?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it is what a fantastic football game, and I mean, one of many that we got. But I know it hurts back there, but Tennessee is still very much in the playoff race. Don't you worry.
So an instant classic in the 3:30 slate, another instant classic in the night slate. Number 16, Texas A&M beating number 8 Notre Dame 41-40. The Fighting Irish are now 0-2 to start their 2025 season after making it all the way to the national title game last year. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with Texas A&M. This one's no surprise, Dalton. Brazel was not one of the 5 highest graded players for Tennessee. This one is easily the highest graded player for Texas A&M. Mario Craver, what a performance for him. 91.3 grade in the win. DJ Hicks, the D tackle, 78.3. Damian Sanford, the linebacker, 73. TJ Searcy, the edge rusher, 72.7. Albert Regis, the D tackle, 72.1. And Marcel Reed, the quarterback, with a 50.4 grade in the victory for the Aggies. Let's go over to Notre Dame with their highest graded players in the loss. Really the only defensive back that had a good game for Notre Dame was Leonard Moore, our number 1 corner in the country going into the year. He showed why with an elite 90.3 grade in the loss for the Fighting Irish. Wide receiver Malachi Fields, 74.2. Billy Strouth, the offensive guard, 72.7. Junior Tui Malaka, the edge rusher, 72.7. Eli Raridan, who really good tight end, Notre Dame's got once again, 72. And then CJ Carr, 65.7 at quarterback for the Fighting Irish. Dalton, for you, what told the story in this game?
You know, we came into this year talking so much about Texas A&M and the potentially lethal run game, right? You've got Marcel Reed at quarterback, Le'Veon Moss, Amari Daniels, Ruben Owens, KC Concepcion, who could take a jet sweep to the house anytime, but it's been their passing game through 3 weeks that has carried them through it. In this game, 8 explosive pass plays for the 3rd straight week. They've got at least 8 explosive pass plays in 3 straight weeks. Max, they only did it twice all of last season. This passing game with Mario Craver, with KC Concepcion in there, it's just a different animal. And I think you see Marcel Reed. Now, there were moments in this game for Marcel Reed where it was shaky. He was missing throws. I believe there was 3 or 4 turnover-worthy plays. It was not great all the time, but he hung in there until the very end. He made the big touchdown throw to Nate Burkircher. I mean, just this A&M team, if they're now going to be balanced, and we know they can run the football behind this offensive line. We know they have Le'Veon Moss. We know they have all these rushing threats. And yet the passing game has looked spectacular through the first 3 weeks. And if these 2 receivers, Craver and Concepcion, are going to play the way that they played in this game, they're going to be extremely hard to beat. And on the Notre Dame side of it, 8 explosive pass plays given up in this game. They only did that once all of last year against USC, and they still managed to win a high-scoring game that day. So, look, I think this A&M passing game is even better. I think early in the season we thought it was, especially going into Notre Dame and putting up 41 points. And this Notre Dame secondary, you mentioned it. Leonard Moore, spectacular again, best corner in the country. I'm in on that. But the rest of the secondary's got to figure it out because they did not look great against Miami and Carson Beck. They don't look great this week. I think there's obviously now Notre Dame is probably still going to, even at 0-2, they're still going to be favored probably every other game on their schedule. But USC's high-flying. Arkansas and Talon Green, they're pretty high-flying. There's going to be some offenses where this secondary's got to figure it out, and their pass rush is not all that great either after losing some veteran defensive linemen from last year's group. So Notre Dame, look, they've given up 68 points or 67 points through 2 games, I should say. They've only played 2 games. They got to figure it out on defense. This adjustment with some of the veteran players leaving from last year's team and then going from Al Golden to Chris Ash as their defensive coordinator, they have to figure this out because this Notre Dame team is designed to play elite defense, and they're not doing it right now.
Yeah, if you look at their grades right now, they have, I believe, 3 defensive backs who had below a 45 PFF grade in this game.
Yeah.
3 of them. And that's just, it's not good enough. That's really my stat to tell story right there. Notre Dame had a 53.8 defensive grade on passing plays in this one. This is not the same Notre Dame defense that we saw last year at all. They have struggled immensely in pass defense through the first 2 games, I should say, of the season. A 49.8 coverage grade against Texas A&M. It's their worst coverage grade since the 2022 season against USC in that one when Caleb Williams just teed off on them in that game. 58.9 pass rush grade. Dalton, worse since 2022 against USC once again. This Notre Dame pass defense, you saw in the Miami game, you saw here in the Texas A&M game. They are really struggling right now. Notre Dame currently, they had the 3rd best coverage grade in the country last year, right?
I think they might have been second even.
Yeah, I'll check that real quick.
3. Either way, they were, any way you look at it, between them and Texas and Ohio State, they were a top 3 pass defense in college football last year.
They have the 2nd worst coverage grade in the Power 4 right now. 2nd worst in the Power 4. They were 3rd in the country last year behind Texas and Marshall. So 2nd in the Power 4 last year, 2nd best, now 2nd worst coverage grade in the Power 4 right now. 4th worst pass rush grade in the Power 4 right now. That's a major issue, and really the biggest reason why Notre Dame is 0-2 for the first time since 2007. And now all of a sudden, kind of like last year, Notre Dame has to rattle off 10 straight victories to make the college football playoff. I do not think a 9-3 Notre Dame team is getting into the playoff. There is still a chance, Dalton, that a 10-2 Notre Dame team might not get in, because if you look at their schedule right now, they don't have any really big marquee matchups as of right now the rest of the season. Now, maybe USC turns into a top 25 team, and maybe some other teams too, but as of right now, this schedule, and we see the playoff committee emphasizing even more and more every year, you need to have these big-time wins on your resume. Notre Dame is 0-2 against top 20 teams right now, and as of right now, there is not another top 25 team on their schedule. So I still think Notre Dame will get in with a 10-2 record, but now you have to go 10-2. You have to win 10 straight to make the playoff, and with this pass defense right now, I don't know if Notre Dame can do it.
I mean, you just look at the rest of their schedule, like you mentioned, having a reel off 10 in a row. They're going to beat Purdue at Arkansas. They probably could have used some help from Arkansas if they would have beat Ole Miss last night. We'll get to that. Yeah. Arkansas, a good chance they won't be ranked. They got to play Memphis this week. Boise State's already kind of out of that conversation. USC maybe gets ranked by the time we get there, depending on how they play the next month or so. But Boston College just lost to Stanford. Pitt just lost to West Virginia. Syracuse doesn't look great. Sorry. It's just there's not a lot here. That what Notre Dame needs probably more than anything else is USC to be undefeated going into that matchup October 18th. And and even then USC they have to play Michigan State, Illinois, Michigan before that Notre Dame game. I just think you're talking about with Notre Dame, even if they reel off the 10 in a row, I don't think it's in their control. I really don't. When you look at, they're going to need to be like it was last year, where just about everybody, almost everybody that went 10-2 made it, at least from the Big Ten and the SEC, and then Notre Dame obviously to 11-1. They're going to need the chaos because there's just not going to be enough good wins here. And I know they've lost these two games at the wire, and that might get taken into consideration. And they will probably still be ranked somewhere in the top 25 still for the rest of the season, but at the end of the day, we're going to look back at Notre Dame, even if they go 10-2. And unless USC is undefeated in top 15 going into that game, which is possible if they beat Illinois and Michigan, if they win their next three games. But we're going to sit there and look at Notre Dame and go, what have you proven? And if they keep playing defense like this, they won't win 10 in a row anyway. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, it's really bad right now for this Notre Dame pass defense. Really, Leonard Moore is the only one that's playing at a good level right now. He's, again, the best corner in the country in my opinion, but even if you have the best corner in the country, you need a pass rush and you need more defensive backs than just one corner out there, and Notre Dame did not have that. And credit to Texas A&M, you mentioned them right there. Their receivers were getting open on everyone but Leonard Moore, really, in that game. So credit to them for getting open. That's my most impressive right here. Mario Craver, man. He was unfreaking guardable in this win for the Aggies. He caught 7 of his 12 targets for 207 yards and a touchdown. He had 137 yards after the catch. He broke 4 tackles on his 7 catches too. This receiving core really helped out Marcel Reed, who didn't really have the best night. You can see by his PFF grade right there. You got Mario Craver, you got Casey Concepcion, Terry Bussey, who almost had the game-winning kick return for a touchdown, was called back. Didn't really matter because obviously it scored a touchdown to win the game anyways. But those three, that is a lethal receiving trio. I had Concepcion as one of my top 10 receivers in the country going into the year. Mario Craver all of a sudden looks like a superstar right now. Terry Bussey was a 5-star recruit a couple years ago. Shows a lot of encouraging flashes through 2 years so far too. And the craziest part, Dalton, they put up 41 points. This run game for A&M hasn't really gotten going yet. And we thought going into the year for Texas A&M, with their offensive line, my number 3 offensive line in the country, with Marcel Reed as one of the most dynamic athletes at quarterback in the country, and with Texas A&M having one of the deepest running back rooms in the country, we all thought this offense would be predicated around the run game. And right now, Texas A&M is 3-0. And thanks in large part to how good this passing game has been, really how good these receivers have been for Texas A&M.
It's interesting because now they go into a week off and then they go home to play Auburn. And Texas A&M, you could say in all 3 games they've played, have not played their best football all the way around. I think Mike Elko should actually feel really encouraged by that, where you go, okay, take this week off, fix the things you need to fix. Their defense has not played A-plus football yet for sure in any of their 3 games. Their run game is not all the way there yet. Even Marcel Reed in this game, and look, you're battling against Notre Dame, Leonard Moore in that secondary, which still talent-wise should be pretty good. I think A&M has to feel so good. This is one of the biggest road wins any team is going to get all year.
Yep.
Even with Notre Dame starting 0-2, they're still going to be ranked all year. And I mean, you look right here at the last play by Burkirch. That's just unreal play also on that, just boxing out Drake Bowen. But you look at this runway, though, all of a sudden, that A&M has. Their next 4 games. Auburn, fun game, but they get it at home. Mississippi State, better, but they get it at home. Florida, struggling right now. And then Arkansas, it's a real runway for them to start 7-0, and then you get into the real tough parts of their schedule. But Texas A&M, this win now, this is a statement to me that they're a playoff contender as well. The SEC race is wide open if Texas A&M especially can beat a team like Notre Dame on the road in this passing. And again, they're not playing their best football yet. They played a B-plus game, if that, especially not on defense. You know Mike Elko takes more pride in this defense, and they've given up 22 points at least in each of the first 3 games. There's a long way to go here for A&M, but there's a real runway for them to be in major playoff contention also.
And it's crazy because going into the season, if we would have previewed this game in August, say, we would have said the biggest advantage Notre Dame probably has is that secondary against Marcel Reed as a passer and maybe those receivers. And that was not the case. It was the complete opposite. Texas A&M's receivers dominated Notre Dame in this one. So really impressive. You do want to shout out Leonard Moore, though, because he was locked down this game.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the theme that if you're playing against Notre Dame, I think Leonard Moore has to start getting the Sauce Gardner, Darrelle Revis treatment. Yeah. Just don't throw it 15. Just don't do it. 5 targets, 1 catch allowed for 11 yards, interception, 2 pass breakups, 90.8 coverage grade. I think that's the very first thing if I was playing against Notre Dame that I would say as part of the game plan. Not X's and O's, not nothing. Hey, you see number 15? Don't throw it in that direction. Just don't do it. He's the best corner in the country, no question. The rest of the secondary right now for Notre Dame, kind of a mess. You throw it at 15, you do so at your own peril. I don't think there's any question after 2026 that this is going to be a first-round pick. He's the best corner in the country, and I think it's not that it works in Notre Dame's detriment. I just think that's what it has to be now. I would, if it's me and I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm trying to walk out of a game against Notre Dame with 0 targets at Leonard Moore. None. I just don't. It is not worth your time. You're wasting a play. There's a good chance you're going to turn the football over. This kid is special. He played special football on this night despite the rest of that unit not playing well at all. Leonard Moore is a special football player. And right now, easily, when you look at that 2027 class, the best corner in that class, easy.
If I'm Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman, with the amount of cover 1 they play, which is man coverage across the board and 1 safety back, I'll tell that free safety, hey, just go to the other side of the field and help out whoever the
help us out elsewhere. I mean,
let Leonard Moore just be one-on-one.
You could even start to run zone coverages and things like that everywhere else and just lock more. If there's somebody you feel like is the big threat that any given week, I mean, I know there's not a ton of great receivers left on their schedule, but any given week.
I mean, that USC game. All of a sudden,
sure.
Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon.
What you probably have to do, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but is you lock him on Lane and you let the rest of the defense surround Lemon, right? Because Lemon's in the slot all the time. But either way, we'll get to that in a month. But that's just the theme for me is do not throw at number 15 if you're an opposing offense. That's step number 1. Just create the rest of your game plan around that. Don't even bother because he's elite and he's man, oh man, I can't wait for him to get to the NFL already.
It's 2 more years too. He's only a true sophomore right now for Notre Dame, and I just remember watching his true freshman tape last year, obviously, and I just got reminded of like Derek Stingley Jr. and Will Johnson, how good they were as true freshmen, and of course now how good they are now in the NFL. Leonard Moore is one of those next guys, man. He is a true superstar and one of the names to know in what looks like a loaded 2027 NFL draft. So we kind of did the Notre Dame part already. Okay, you got to rattle off 10 in a row now. You can't lose another game. Texas A&M, how do you change your opinion on them right now? How legit are they a contender in the SEC and maybe even nationally now, too?
Extremely legitimate. National title, there's probably more to go because now you're getting into the SEC part of the schedule. Fascinating game in 2 weeks against Auburn, and then they have a runway where there's a few teams they're better than. And then you look at the back end of this schedule, LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, Texas, all in the second half of the schedule. But I think with a Notre Dame win in their pocket, especially on the road, and now you've got the SEC schedule. Look, I think here's the easiest way to put this. You know, when we talk about Notre Dame, even head-to-head here with a tiebreaker. A&M goes 10-2. Notre Dame goes 10-2. Head-to-head first and foremost, but even strength of schedule also. A&M gets in easy over Notre Dame. This is a scenario now where Notre Dame they're rooting for A&M to go 9-3 or worse all of a sudden. And I'll tell you what, if A&M's good enough again to win at Notre Dame, not playing their best football, wait till they get to a scenario where they are playing their best football. And this, what is it? They're only leaving the state of Texas 3 more times the rest of the year.
Wow.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. So they have set themselves up with this win to make a prime run at a playoff spot.
Major win for Texas A&M, taking down number 8 Notre Dame. Notre Dame now 0-2 for the first time since 2007 after making the national title game last year. So Notre Dame's backs are really, really against the wall right now if they want to make it back to the college football playoff. Next up in our review is Vanderbilt taking down number 11 South Carolina 31-7. The Commodores putting a beating on the Gamecocks in this game. Dalton, we had a commenter in the chat, Jimmy West, saying that the most surprising result for him this weekend was Vanderbilt winning. He says, I keep thinking Vanderbilt will revert back to the norm, and it doesn't seem to be happening.
No, Diego's the Dragon Slayer, man. And listen, there was a chance that if Vandy was going to win this game, you figured it'd be some heroics and it'd be close, it'd be a field goal or something. 31-7. This probably is the most shocking result of the whole weekend, considering even when Lenora Sellers was in the game in the first half, and you know, obviously we're going to talk about that and the injury and all of that, but Vanderbilt was the better team on the field, even in the first half with Sellers out there. So the fact that they just went in and soundly outplayed South Carolina the way they did, I agree. That part of it is the most shocking part of the weekend.
Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the victorious Vanderbilt Commodores, starting off with Brandon Fontenette, the corner/safety for them, 86.9. CJ Hurd, 81.5, the safety. Jordan White, 69.3, the center. Eli Stowers, who I think is the best tight end in the country, with a 68.8 grade in this one. Jordan Matthews, the cornerback, 68.6. And Diego Pavia, the quarterback, with a 51.3 grade in the win for Vanderbilt. Let's go over to South Carolina with their highest graded players in the loss. Defensive tackle Nick Barrett, 78.6. Cornerback Brandon Cece, with a 76.4 grade. Nick Harbor, 76 grade, the wide receiver. Justin Okoronkwo, the linebacker, 74.3. Rasul Faison, the running back, 71.9. And Luke Doty, the quarterback, with a 69.1 grade, because unfortunately, Lenora Sellers went out with a concussion early on in this game. Dalton, what told the story for you?
So Vanderbilt, so efficient in the passing game. And Pavia, his grade's lower than you might think because he had a fumble and he had a really bad interception. It was either late in the third or early in the fourth quarter that gave South Carolina like one last pulse down 14. It was probably the worst throw I've seen Pavia make in about a year and a half. But a .740 EPA per pass in this game. And it was a lot of yards after catch. It was Pavia being efficient underneath. And honestly, we know him as a more vertical passer to complement this passing game. But you look at even a throw like that you see on the video right there. That's a check down. He's moving up in the pocket. He's just dumping the ball off to Cedric Alexander, and he's letting Alexander on the outside do the work after the catch. That was a big theme in this game. Diego Pavia on throws under 10 yards, 15 of 16 for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. 106 of his 177 passing yards came after the catch. And a big thing for me is that he was able to, and look, Vanderbilt doesn't have a spectacular offensive line. It's better this year with Jordan White and those guys up front. It's better this year than it was last year, but it's not a spectacular offensive line. Pavia did such a great job in this game getting rid of the football. 2.6 second average time to throw, and he was only under pressure 22% of the time. Last year against South Carolina, that was 3.1 seconds, and he was under pressure 51% of the time. Now, South Carolina's pass rush was better last year, was deeper last year with all those veteran guys they had, but Diego Pavia, again, normally when we see him have a good game with his arm, and other than the interception, I really thought he did have a good game passing. He's generally a vertical passer who's going to hold the football, who's going to throw the ball down the field, and when he gets outside the pocket, he's looking for big plays. He took a more conservative approach in this game, A, in the second half especially, knowing they had a lead, and B, understanding, look, this South Carolina secondary is still really good, and I'm not just going to get free shots on him, and I cannot hold the football waiting for Dylan Stewart to come get me in the pocket. I thought Vanderbilt in the passing game just handled everything they possibly could have here. perfectly, absolutely. And then when Sellers was out of the game and they were working against a backup quarterback and just understanding, again, except for the interception, I believe it was late in the third quarter, that was the only play all night where I felt like, what are you doing? But other than that, I thought just a spectacular game in the passing game, not the flashiest game, not the highest graded game of Javia's career, but the best approach to beat this football team and just have control of this game. And that was a big part of them winning heavily time of possession also, right? I just saw it. Clark Lee and Jason Beck and this coaching staff and what this offense is doing, they're a threat any given week they step on the field, and it's not same old Vanderbilt. This team can beat anybody on any given day. Yeah, and really a big reason why Vanderbilt can win like this with Pavia only grading somewhere in the 50s is because their defense was outstanding. Negative 0.303 EPA per pass for South Carolina. This was a completely opposite stat for me is South Carolina's EPA per pass. Much of that had to do, obviously, with Lenore Sellers getting hurt after only taking 9 dropbacks for leaving with a concussion in this game. But he and Luke Doty both had like a 70 passing grade in this one. Both of them threw an interception in this one too. South Carolina's offensive line, which has been an issue for them in years past, really, was phenomenal in this game. They only let up 3 pressures all game to Vanderbilt, but the receivers really struggled to get open for South Carolina, and Lenora Sellers and then Luke Doty could not elevate that supporting cast for them either. This is a game where I thought South Carolina needed Rasul Faison to really go off against Vanderbilt, and he didn't do that. He had a solid game, but nothing special. They needed special from their run game in this one with Luke Doty playing most of the game. They couldn't get it, and that's why you see Vanderbilt winning by 24 points. This was my concern with South Carolina going into the year. One, the defensive talent that they lost, and it's still a good defense. Yeah. But last year, to me, this was one of the 5 best defenses in college football. They are not a top 5 defense in college football this year. They are probably a top 25 defense, which is obviously still very good. But when you're dealing with an offensive attack like this and the attacks that you're going to see in the SEC, it's a little bit more. You're asking more of your offense. And you mentioned the offensive line hasn't been great. In general, South Carolina's through 3 games, the Virginia Tech game, even the South Carolina State game last week, it took them an entire half to get the ball rolling. And in those 2 games, they got 3 punt return touchdowns from Vakari Swain as well, right? So South Carolina's offensive execution, even with Sellers on the field, has not been particularly good. Part of that is the offensive line, and I think there's just still, to me, and I know Sellers is getting #1 draft pick hype and all this stuff, their offense to me is still an idea. It's still something that comes in flashes. Yes, there's explosive plays, right? There's the explosive runs from Sellers and escaping the pocket and the deep post to Nick Harbor against Virginia Tech. But drive to drive, this team doesn't execute at the rate that you think they would considering the talent level. Part of it is up front. They're not very good up front. They weren't very good up front last year. And then you just have this lack of accuracy and lack of execution, especially to me in their passing game. I'll say it again. When Sellers is on the field, I'm just doing everything I can for him to not get outside the hash marks. I think that's where that's at right now. And the other thing for me with South Carolina, it just feels like just such an idea, doesn't it? Where it's just you have to be more consistent than this. And I think aside from Sellers breaking the pocket and doing special things as an athlete, they're not executing at a high level. I think, honestly, if Sellers would have played this whole game from what I saw in the first half, I think Vandy wins this game anyway. South Carolina has not fully executed on offense for 3 games. I understand the talent. I understand the size and the speed and measurables and all of that. But look, all of a sudden, they just lost to Vanderbilt at home. And their schedule's absolutely brutal. This is the scenario I was worried about for South Carolina, is you trip up in a game like this, and you're not executing the way you should, and your defense is not a top 5 defense, and it was never going to be with all the guys they lost in the NFL, they are up against it against Missouri next week. Oh, yeah. They have to go to Missouri next week. We'll see what Sellers' status is for that. They are up against it because you want a team that's executing on offense. It's the Missouri Tigers right now, and that's on the road, and they really need to find a way, South Carolina, to just get more consistent on offense, or they're in huge trouble, I think.
South Carolina currently is 86th in the country in overall offensive grade this year. I mean, nothing is going well at all for this offense, whether it be Sellers has been up and down as a passer, the run game has been up and down. The pass blocking for South Carolina has improved this year, but we've seen issues from it before too. The receiving core hasn't been great. I mean, just all around hasn't not been working for South Carolina's offense this year. When you don't have, like Dalton said, you don't have an elite defense to win you ball games. This is what happens sometimes when you lose by 24 points to Vanderbilt. And credit to Vanderbilt, man, because they are doing an incredible job under Clark Lee right now. And we'll get to our top 25 later on in the show. They're going to be very high up in the top 25 for their 3-0 start to the season. But Dalton, what impressed you most from Vanderbilt's win in this game?
You know, anytime I get to talk about somebody who transferred up to the SEC from FAU, I'm going to do it. How about the safety C.J. Hurd, 84.3 coverage grade, 11 tackles, 5 stops, 3 targets for 7 yards allowed, end of pressure. Maxey's a top 15 safety in the country right now, 82.8 PFF grade through 3 weeks. He's Vanderbilt's highest graded starter on defense. He had a really solid year last year at FAU. He's an excellent football player, and he's taken another step in this year at Vanderbilt. I think this Vanderbilt defense, I'll say this, and they were spectacular. They gave only 7 points to South Carolina in this game. Are they the best defense in the country? No, but I'll tell you they're a deeper defense than they were last year, and it's transfers like C.J. Hurd coming in who have made them a lot better. This team all the way around is dangerous, and they believe they can win any football game. And tell you what, they got a couple of winnable games coming up the next few weeks. They may walk into Alabama a few weeks from now, 5-0, and boy, oh boy, is this the team, Alabama. And their defense, this is the type of team they hate seeing. They already lost to them once last year. Vandy's even legitimately better than they were last year. This is going to be fun to watch the rest of the way.
I'm going with Vanderbilt's just overall secondary in this game because they were outstanding in this one. And Dalton, how about this? Ready for this? Vanderbilt right now has the 8th best coverage grade in college football at 90.4 through 3 weeks. Here are the previous years for Vanderbilt. Ready? 97th in coverage grade last year, 118th in 2023, 112th in 2022, 103rd in 2021, 121st in 2020, 119th in 2019, 90th in 2018. We're talking about a Vanderbilt secondary that was legitimately horrendous, one of the worst in college football over the last, 7 years? And now all of a sudden, it's playing like a top 10 secondary in the country as of right now through 3 weeks. Now, of course, Virginia Tech and South Carolina, their passing games have been up and down this year, really more down than up, I should say, this year. But Vanderbilt, man, they really improved that secondary, it seems like, and credit to them because really they held this team back even last year too, even though they made a bowl game last year in a great year. That was mostly because of Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers and that offense carrying that defense on its back. If you have a Vanderbilt defense that's performing like this too to help out Diego Pavia and that offense, and you have the 8th best coverage grade in the country, all of a sudden Vanderbilt is going to be a legitimate contender in the SEC like this.
Think about stylistically what that does. This is a team that wants to control the football and control time of possession, and the one thing that can counter that, right, is teams making explosive plays in the passing game and scoring quickly on you. If you don't allow that and your defense as well as dragging teams every week into this ball control style of game that they want to play with Pavia, with Cedric Alexander, with their offense, with that run game that's so diverse. And look, at the end of the day, they still want to run the football first and foremost. If their defense allows them to drag teams into that style of game, they're extremely dangerous. And this is a team with their offense nobody wants. This is one of the hardest teams in the country for defensive coordinators to prepare for, this Vanderbilt team. We saw it at New Mexico State. We saw it last year with Vandy. Diego Pavia. And then when all else fails, if it's a close game, Diego Pavia is just going to find a way to will you to a win. This is an incredible run they're on. And we're going to be talking about Vanderbilt every single week this year. Just about. Maybe the next couple they have winnable games, but boy, when they get to their SEC schedule, it's going to be fun.
When they pulled off those massive victories last year, it was always Diego Pavia just willing this team in a shootout. Like, remember that Alabama game where both teams were putting up 40 points? If you have a defense that's letting up 7 points to South Carolina, I know it was Luke Doty for most of the game too, but still, that's a major, major development for Vanderbilt. And now all of a sudden you go from a team that was a Cinderella story but still an above average SEC team last year. Now we're talking about a legitimate college football playoff contender this year.
Last thing, they were down 20-10 to Virginia Tech at halftime. and they didn't allow a point in the second half of that game. They outscored Virginia Tech 34-0. They've given up 7 points in the last 6 quarters on the road in 2 extremely tough environments. Yeah, Vanderbilt's real, man. Diego Pavia is just continuing to lead this team to the promised land. It's crazy the run they've been on for over a year now.
Shout out Clark Lee for his defense, and Steve Gregory, the defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt, too, for just turning around what was one of the worst secondaries in the country for the last 7-8 years. Now is playing at a top 10 level currently in 2025. Next up in our review is Georgia Tech taking down number 12 Clemson 27-24 in what was an incredible game, with Georgia Tech kicking the game-winning field goal in a fire drill situation to win that ball game to a 50-plus yard kickoff. What was it, 57?
55 or 56.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Just,
an incredible ball game we had at noon yesterday. Let's go over the highest-graded players, starting off with Georgia Tech. Their highest-graded player was, of course, their quarterback, Haynes King. We'll talk about him later. 90.2 grade for him in the victory. Isaiah Kenyon, the wide receiver, 73.6. Also, the 73.6 is the D tackle, Jason Moore. Eric Rivers, another wide receiver, 71.5. E.J. Lightsey, a linebacker, 67.8. And another linebacker at number 5 in Kyle Efford with a 66 grade. Let's go over to Clemson with their highest-graded players in the loss. Highest-graded player for the Tigers was wide receiver Bryant Westco Jr., 82.1. Avion Terrell, the cornerback, 81.4. Defensive tackle DeMonte Capehart, 78.5. Edge rusher Will Helt, 77.7. Another edge rusher, T.J. Parker, who many people think could be a top 10 pick in the draft, 70.4. And Cade Klubnik was still a solid performance, but not enough, with a 77.6 grade in the loss for Clemson. Dalton, for you, what told the story in Clemson's second loss already of the season?
Let's just say what we've seen through 3 games. This Clemson offense as a whole is average. They are not explosive. Their offensive line is below average. My stat that tells the story in this game, 3 plays in this game for Clemson that gained at least 20 yards, just 3. They only have 11 plays of at least 20 yards through 3 games. 5 of those were against Troy, 3 against LSU, 3 against Georgia Tech here. And you look at those 3 drives, and you look at Clemson, it's too plodding. The 3 drives that they got a 20-plus yard play on, right? You had the Adam Randall 3rd and 22 carry before halftime, and Clemson scoring on their first touchdown drive. You have the Josh Sapp 33-yard catch on a perfectly thrown corner route. That drive got inside the Georgia Tech 10, and then Cade Klubnik threw an interception. And then obviously you had the Bryant Westco, 75-yard touchdown. Other than that, than those 3 plays, Clemson, it's just not explosive. And Georgia Tech is able in this game to just drag them into that mud fight that they want, right? 24-21. Georgia Tech winning time of possession, running the ball, winning the game 4 yards at a time. That's Georgia Tech style. The entire idea behind this Clemson offense, and I know Antonio Williams is hurt, was that they were explosive, and they had Klubnik, and they had these receivers, and they were going to sling it downfield. And last year, Klubnik was one of the best vertical passers in the country. It's just not there. It's just they're not an explosive offense. 74th in the country in explosive pass rate. They are right at the national average with 15.2%. 111th in explosive run rate. And Klubnik has most of those explosive runs himself. And their offensive line, once again, was extremely mediocre in this game. They are 98th in the country through 3 weeks in the offensive line PFF grade. This right now, as it stands, and do they have time to recover? Yes. They need to win 9 in a row. It's that simple. It's that simple for Clemson. They have to come out and win 9 in a row or they're not going to the playoff, or at least outside chance 8 in a row, I think it is, in the ACC. Make the ACC title game, see where it goes like last year. But if your path to the playoff this early is already the same as it was last year, where they had to win the ACC title game against SMU, dangerous. This is not great. And this offense has been extremely average, and they're not explosive. I've watched this Clemson offense now, out of the 12 quarters they play maybe 2 or 3 consistently good quarters of offense. Probably the second half against Troy and the second quarter of this game. And that's it. Otherwise, it's mistake-filled, it's not explosive, and they are just not right. They need Antonio Williams back in the worst way. They need to find a way for this offensive line to play better, or we're not even going to be anywhere close to talking about them winning the next 8 or 9 games.
No. And my stat is really the same thing. It's negative 0.042 EPA per pass for Clemson. So hand up, listen, I was wrong on this Clemson passing attack. And I had Clemson, of course, winning the national title preseason. Now they're 1-2 to start the season, so it doesn't look great for me right now. But Clemson has been negative in EPA per pass in every single game this year, whether it be LSU, whether it be this game against Georgia Tech, or whether it even be the Troy game last week. They only had 2 games last year where they were negative in EPA per pass. And I can't even really blame Cade Klubnik for this. He's playing as well as you could hope for from him. Honestly, an 83.7 passing grade in this game. Of course, there's still some throws he's got to hit, and he's not playing perfect ball so far. But I think it has more to do with the receiving core, more to do with the offensive line, more to do with just not having much of a run game to rely on either. And defenses could just sit back in quarters coverage or deep coverage and just not let up these explosive passes from Clemson. They badly miss Antonio Williams right now. His 62.8 receiving grade in this game, sub 65 receiving grade in every single game this year. Offensive line, sub 70 pass blocking grade for the third straight time too. This offense is just way too reliant on Cade Klubnik to save them right now. They are asking Cade Klubnik to be, hey, you're the number 1 quarterback in the country. Go prove it. Go win this game basically by yourself. You can't ask any quarterback in America to do that. And Clemson's basically asking that of Cade Klubnik right now. Now, of course, again, he's not been perfect. I'm not saying Cade Klubnik is playing great football right now. But what I am saying is that there's way too much pressure on him in this offense with that receiving core, without Antonio Williams not playing very well at all, the offensive line not playing very well at all, and the run game is basically non-existent right now for Clemson too. Is a little bit better in this game, but overall, this Clemson offense, I think, is way too reliant on their quarterback in Cade Klubnik. And yes, I do think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't think he's one that can be a Cam Newton who can carry your entire team to a national title basically by himself. I don't think he's that special. Clemson needs more from the rest of their offense right now, and they don't really have it.
You said it exactly perfect. Is he playing reasonably well? Yes. Maybe up to our Heisman expectations? No. But when you're asking a quarterback to be perfect, look at the teams right now that are winning, and they're not asking their quarterbacks to do that, right? You think about, I even think about, let's go even to a young guy like Julian Sayin at Ohio State. They're not asking him to carry them, right? Garrett Nussmeier is not playing perfect football. And LSU, if you told me LSU's offense, and we're going to get into this, and I know Brian Kelly's sick of the question, but if you're going to get in, like LSU, they're not playing great offense, but Garrett Nussmeier has not been perfect, and they're undefeated still, right? You think about Gunnar Stockton. Yes, there were moments where he had to pick the team up, but you're also going to see later this year with Georgia where, okay, this is not the Gunnar Stockton game. It's the defense. It's Nate Frazier. This Clemson team has no other answer. Yeah. They have no other. Their defense has played solid football through 3 weeks, right? Yeah. They only gave up 17 to LSU. They only gave up 24 in this game, but you're still asking Cade Klubnik to go out there offensively and be perfect. They have time to figure this out. They're playing Syracuse, they're playing North Carolina, they're playing Boston College the next 3. They need to figure this out by the time they get to SMU and Florida State and Louisville, because this is right now, call it what it is, this is an extremely average offense, and they're not explosive enough, and to me, that's the biggest reason that they couldn't take advantage of a relatively average Georgia Tech secondary.
So, you and I usually try to do different things for the most impressive part of the game, but both of us had to go with the other quarterback in this game, Haynes King, for just willing this team once again to a victory.
No, but and look, there's some good candidates. There's certainly Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt is up there. There's some good candidates for this award, but nobody wills their teams to wins on their back more than Haynes King. I mean, it's just a ridiculous 87 passing grade, 75 rushing grade, made big throws when they needed him to, got first downs with his legs when they needed him to. It is just, I was honestly worried about Georgia Tech late in the third quarter in this game because it looked already like Haynes King was running out of gas. I think he played most of the second half of this game at about 80%. I don't know if that lower body injury is still bothering him or he was just out of gas because he's trying to carry this team. The one concern I would have is that if Georgia Tech is asking him to do that every single week, but you're talking about, look, a big road win at Colorado that was a hotly contested game and they made a lot of mistakes early in that game. And then this Clemson upset. And what is it? Georgia Tech now under Brent Key has won 7 out of 8 games against ranked ACC opponents. That's ridiculous. And you just hope for their sake that Haynes King doesn't run out of gas before the season ends. And obviously he dealt with injuries last year, but Georgia Tech getting this win, boy, they got to be feeling pretty good about their standing.
Absolutely.
All these other teams in the ACC, when we came into this year feeling like Clemson was the prohibitive favorite, look at what Miami's doing. Look what Florida State's done so far. Louisville looks good. Georgia Tech looks good. I think Clemson and Duke are really, of course, the two teams I picked for the ACC title game. They're the only two teams that have really faltered through 3 weeks, right? So, I mean, you're looking at the rest of this, and Georgia Tech does not have the most brutal schedule. They got through their hardest game of the season this week. Now, all of a sudden, you feel like, okay, if Haynes King can just stay healthy, look what he can carry them to. We've seen this before. We saw it last year, the upset over Miami, the near upset over Georgia, now this against Clemson. Haynes King just puts his team on his back when it matters most. I think they need some games here in between where he doesn't have to do that, but they're a darn good football team, man, and Brent Key just has them playing to their identity every single week.
I'm not saying he's the greatest quarterback in college football history like this guy, but he's kind of like the modern-day Tim Tebow, where it's like this dude is just going to will his team on his back.
I don't think there's not a tougher player in college football than Haynes King.
I would agree with that. He looks exhausted after every game, but I think he is the toughest player in college football. 87 passing grade, 20 for 28, 211 yards, big-time throw, no turnover where he plays. Also ran for 104 yards and a touchdown on 24 attempts in this game, too. Another 6 first downs on the ground. He's the definition of a warrior, man. He's the most impressive part of this game. I do want to shout out Brent Key, though, because Brent Key, what he's done with this program after taking it over in 2023, or really 2022, has been incredible. So Jeff Collins, when he got fired, Jeff Collins went in his last 4 years, or really his only 4 years, 3-9, 3-7, 3-9. Then he started off 1-3 before he was fired. Brent Key took over. The rest of that season in 2023, they had a 4-4 record under Brent Key. So you saw encouraging signs from him. After that, 7-6 and 7-6. Now they're 3-0 right now. This is a program that was going consistently 3-9 for 4 straight years under Jeff Collins. Now under Brent Key, this is at least a 7-win program. And this year, it could be a lot more than that too. It's done an incredible job of turning around this Georgia Tech program. And now all of a sudden, we'll get to my top 25 later. I have Georgia Tech, I think, in my top 15 right now. This looks like a legitimate contender to maybe win the ACC and maybe even crash the 12-team college football playoff.
You want me to rattle it off real quick?
Yeah.
Temple, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pitt.
That's it?
Dude,
they might do it.
They might be. Listen, you got to win the games. But they're probably favored in all those games moving forward.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
You're sitting at a real scenario where...
So they avoid Florida State and Miami.
No Florida State, no Miami, no Louisville, no SMU.
Wow.
And then you look at what these teams... Wake Forest isn't great. Virginia Tech's 0-3. Duke's 1-2. Syracuse is Syracuse.
Jackass.
At NC State. Uh-huh. And Boston College just lost to Stanford.
Yep.
And Pitt just lost to West Virginia. There's actually, like, Georgia Tech fans you want to get 2 months ahead of yourselves. There's a 10-1 or 11-0 maybe sitting in front of you going into Georgia.
I'm sure.
They get Georgia at home this year.
I'm sure Brent Key is telling his locker room right now, "Hey, one game at a time, 1 week at a time."
If anybody in the locker room says what I just said, he's going to hit him upside the head. But boy,
can you imagine an 11-0 Georgia Tech against Georgia?
11-0 Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Was that good old-fashioned hate? Is that what it's called? Right? Let's see.
Something like that. Yeah, you're right. That's it, right? Oh, boy, there will be plenty of it if they're both undefeated.
Clean old-fashioned hate is what the name of the rivalry is.
I mean,
that would be incredible.
I'm not saying they're going to do it because you got to win the games, but Georgia Tech's got a runway here already. They may have won before outside of the Georgia game. They may have won their 2 hardest games already. And I know Colorado's not great, but they played pretty good that night.
Yeah.
It was at Colorado week 1. Boy, Georgia Tech's got an opportunity in front of them because it shakes out a lot like SMU's schedule last year. Because SMU didn't play, like, other than Louisville, they didn't play any of the heavy hitters last year in their schedule during the season. Georgia Tech might be going down that path.
Brent Key is just going to stick Haynes King in an ice tub for 6 days out of the week.
Well, this was the idea. Last week they were playing an FCS team, and he sat him. And he was obviously sore from the week before. You almost wonder, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but you know what? You're playing Temple next week. If you can't beat Temple without Haynes King now, or do you maybe get that thing moving by halftime. And,
yeah,
I think that's really the biggest question for me. Can you just keep King out there for all 12 games and healthy? Because last year he even played a few where the shoulder was bad. He basically couldn't throw.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity here for Georgia Tech.
Give him some icy hot, put him in bubble wrap, whatever you got to do, keep that guy healthy, because Georgia Tech could be in store for a magical 2025 season with that schedule and with a massive win over Clemson, 24-21. All right, next up is another big result in the ACC. The favorite to win the ACC right now, Miami, number 5 Miami, beating number 18 USF, kind of ending that Cinderella run for now for USF with a 49-12 victory for the Hurricanes. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the Miami Hurricanes. Their highest graded player, no shocker here, Ruben Bain Jr., maybe the best defensive player in college football. My goodness, he is having an incredible start to his 2025 season. We said before, he looks like a top 10 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Dalton, he might be a top 5 pick in the 2026 NFL draft.
Right now on the defensive side, it's him and it's Caleb Downs. It's those two guys. This is just a freak run he's on right now.
He is unfreaking believable right now. Akeem Mesidor, his teammate, his partner in crime on the defensive line, also having a great start to his year. 86.8 grade in the win. Defensive tackle, Ahmad Moten Sr., 82.4. You're sensing a theme right now. I'll get into that later on for Miami. Running back Mark Fletcher Jr., 81.2. Jacoby Thomas, the safety, 79.1. And Carson Beck with a 75.8 grade. A guy who's all of a sudden reemerging in Heisman conversations. Dawn, you might have been a year early on your Heisman pick for Carson Beck because you picked him last year.
I know I did. I know. I just needed him to take it down to.
We're never wrong here, just early here at PFF.
Take it down to 305 and just get it going. Carson Beck in Miami, man.
We're never wrong at PFF, just early.
Maybe Shannon Dawson right when he said we might have another number 1 overall pick?
Damn.
Was he right about this? We'll see. Go ahead with the Bulls here.
We'll go with the Bulls. Center Cole Best, 74. Chaz Nimrod, the wide receiver, 68.8. Kawan Banks, the cornerback, 68.4. Wyatt Sullivan, the tight end, 67.5. Defensive tackle Trayvon Mitchell, 67.2. And Byron Brown, the quarterback, with a 59 grade in the loss for South Florida. Dalton, for you, what told the story in this Miami blowout victory?
All right, part of it's Miami's offensive line, part of it's Carson Beck, one way or the other. Carson Beck, and we talked about this, if you don't get pressure on Carson Beck, he's going to beat you. That's how this works. He's got that Jared Goff thing where when he's in a clean pocket consistently, he's really, really good. Only pressured on 5 dropbacks in this game. Max, through 3 games, he's only been pressured 12 times.
That's crazy.
In 3 games. I mean, if you're going to do that, and that feels like 2023 at Georgia when they had all those NFL players on the offensive line and he was just free to stand back there. I mean, in a clean pocket in this game, 84.9 passing grade, 21 of 24, 316, 3 touchdowns, 2 big-time throws. That's just the theme here. If you can't get to Carson Beck, he's going to kill you. And we questioned this receiving core a little bit coming in. They've looked good. Malachi Toney, C.J. Daniels, these guys. Carson Beck is the field general. And behind this offensive line right now in USF, we talked about the lack of pass rush. Just a different type of quarterback that you get. Certainly more talented than Maddox Madsen at Boise. Maybe not more, depends. You debate the talent all you want with DJ Lagway, but DJ Lagway right now is a different type of quarterback when it comes to wanting to push the ball downfield and hit those home runs, and the underneath accuracy isn't great. There's no question about Carson Beck's underneath accuracy. Honestly, you could see in Miami's first 2 offensive drives in this game, the way Beck was throwing the ball, this game was done. It was just over. They weren't going to get to Carson Beck. Carson Beck was going to tear him to shreds because he's one of the, 5 best quarterbacks? You had him as number 3 coming into the year. Maybe a top 3 quarterback in college football right now. You could feel it. And I think USF, look, there's no shame in this. And I think even in defeat, man, Alex Golesh says all the right things. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he basically said, look, we can look at this 2 ways. A, they're better than us. True. And B, and I like that he said this too, despite such a big loss and everything, he goes, or we're preparing to go do that again. Which is the exact right mindset to have, because USF through the first 3 games, mission accomplished, man. You beat Boise, you beat Florida.
Oh, definitely.
You come out here, a better team whoops you, and a top 5 team in the country whoop. This is a different, and especially knowing now what we know about Florida. Miami's on a different level than most of the other teams in the country right now. But this game was 2 offensive drives in for Miami, and the way Beck was throwing the balls, this is done. Yeah. He's not losing this game, not a chance.
Also, could we just say right now, I know the AP might not do it USF should still be ranked.
Absolutely.
Please.
I don't care if they're 25, fine. They should still be in it.
And they will be in the top 25 for PFF when we get into that at the end of the show here, but they should still be ranked. I know they're 18 right now in the AP poll, which is way too low, first off. Still rank them, please. I mean, they beat Boise State. They beat Florida, which I know Florida doesn't look great right now, but still. I mean, this is still one of the 20 best resumes, I would argue, in college football, still, after this loss to Miami. But anyways, Miami, just nearly flawless football, man. My stat told story here is Miami, 80-plus grades both on offense and defense in this win for the Hurricanes. Only 2 games last year where they're 80-plus in both. It was the Florida A&M game and the Ball State game. Now it's the second straight week where Miami is 80-plus, both in offensive and defensive grade. 90.5 offensive grade, the same exact grade as last week. 80.4 defensive grade right now. And Dalton, after dominating a top 20 team like this in USF and after beating Notre Dame in week 1 of the season, there is a serious, and I mean serious, case that you can argue Miami is the best team in college football right now. There's a serious case. We'll get to the top 25 later on in the show, but man, oh man, this Hurricane team looks like it could be the best one they've had in a very, very long time. This is a serious, serious national title contender this year.
Yes, and right now the best team in the ACC. Now there's a lot of competition there, right? You talk about, again, Georgia Tech and what they're doing. Florida State, we're going to see if that continues, but offensively they look great. Louisville looks really good so far. The ACC is wide open, but you do feel like Miami. And you know what's funny, and we saw this a bit last year, but the secondary wasn't good enough to prove it. The secondary's better, but boy, this defensive line. You can go into the numbers. Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor in this defensive line, they are just taking games over. They're taking games over against good football teams. I don't think that's going to stop the run that Ruben Bain is on right now. They are controlling games, O-line and D-line, in the trenches, and they are going to be extremely hard. I'll tell you what, even Clemson, D-line maybe, yeah, but offensive line, if they played Clemson head-to-head now, no, Miami's winning that game because Ruben Bain's going to go crazy on their offensive line too. I will say they're in the ACC, maybe in the country. They're probably top 5 in the country. In the ACC, they're clearly the best team in the trenches. I don't think it's close when you talk about having both sides of it.
I might argue they're the best in the country right now. And again, never wrong, just early here at PFF. Last year, remember when we were previewing Miami, we were like, dude, the best part of their team is the defensive line. And they were very good last year, but the secondary kind of let down the defense.
Right, the D-line was spectacular. They were. Yeah. It's just the back 7 couldn't cover anybody.
Now the defensive line is even better this year. Most impressive is easily defensive line. I'll say right now, it's the best defensive line in college football. It is what it is right now for Miami. 91.2 grade as a unit so far this year. That's 4th in the country. But remember, they played USF and they played Notre Dame too. So some of the schools that are above them in that ranking didn't really have the toughest competition to start. Miami has, and they still played at an elite level on the defensive line. 3 players graded above an 80 in this game. Ruben Bain Jr., Akeem Mesidor, Mod Moten Sr. Bain, 87.5. I would argue right now he is playing like the best defensive player in college football right now. 26% pass rush win rate, 3 run defense stops, and a tackle for loss. He's the only edge in America with 90-plus grades as a pass rusher and as a run defender. I mentioned before, but I really think this guy could be playing his way into a top 5 selection in the 2026 NFL Draft. This Miami defensive line, it annihilated, and I mean annihilated, Notre Dame in week 1, who many people thought had the best offensive line in college football. And then this one, and then USF, with the USF offensive line that was very admirable in the win over Florida with their offensive line, they could not stop this Miami defensive line. Again, I'll say it again, it is the best defensive line that we have in college football right now.
Yeah, it's a bunch of big monsters up there. I mean, Miami's got a little bit of everything. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned Carson Beck in the offense and the passing game, but I want to give credit to Mark Fletcher and this run game as well. And I think this game, you know what this was for Mark Fletcher? It was let's go back to last year, a very Damian Martinez-like performance, right? He doesn't always get a boatload of carries because this team wants to throw the football, but 16 carries, 7.5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 7 missed tackles, 4 explosive runs, also a couple of catches out of the backfield. If Mark Fletcher is going to give them now this type of balance in the run game, the same way that Damian Martinez did for this team last year, dangerous football team that's extremely hard to beat. All of a sudden, it's rounding into form. They had to scratch and claw their way through the Notre Dame game. They found a way to do it in week 1. They got an easier win last week. This week, they took care of USF. this Miami team, right now they look like they got it all. They got everything. They can run it. They can throw it. They got the D-line. The secondary looks better, right? We're going to see them tested a little more throughout the season. But
O-line's dominating,
The O-line is dominating. They're dominating the trenches. Miami's an elite football team. And as wide open as this national title race is right now, they got to believe they're in it.
Oh, absolutely. They're absolutely in it right now. So really impressive performance from Miami in this game. You mentioned Mark Fletcher Jr. is the most impressive, Dalton. So just an incredible performance by Miami and 49-12 victory. And there is a serious case for Miami to be the number one team in college football going into Week 4. Before we get into the final 4 games here on this Week 3 review show, got to go over the current betting odds for the Heisman Trophy, a wide open Heisman Trophy race that we've got right now. We're going to go over it right now as well. This PFF betting segment is brought to you by DraftKings with the lines and odds subject to change. So on DraftKings Sportsbook right now, the current odds for the Heisman Trophy, once again, the favorite going into Week 4 is quarterback John Mateer from Oklahoma, plus 800. You can see on your screen right there. Carson Beck, the Miami quarterback, plus 900 right now, 9-1 odds. Then you got quarterback Dante Moore from Oregon at plus 1,200. Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback from LSU, at plus 1,300. Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver from Ohio State, at plus 1,400. Then you got Gunnar Stockton, Marcel Reed, and Julian Sayin all tied for 6th in odds at plus 1,500 right now. Dalton, and Joey Aguilar, too, is also tied for 6th at plus 1,600. And Jackson Arnold at plus 2,000, Devin Dampier at plus 2,000. What stands out to you in those Heisman odds right now?
I think the move up to second there from Carson Beck, obviously, because you look at even Miami's next couple of games. They got a week off, and they play Florida State at Florida State. Then they get a week off and play Louisville. They win those 2 games, I'm looking at this at probably going undefeated at that point. So you have that for Carson Beck. Mateer is interesting, and I think it starts next week in a game that we're going to preview against Auburn. You get into this SEC schedule with John Mateer. Let's see where that goes. And I think the 2 Ohio State guys that were mentioned there, Jeremiah Smith with a huge day, 139 yards against Ohio this week, also had a rushing touchdown. And look, Julian Sayin, he's
killing it.
He's about to start putting up some numbers in this Ohio State offense. Dante Moore, what he's doing so far for Oregon, big game against Penn State coming up in a couple weeks. We'll see what Dante Moore looks like in the Big Ten. And a guy I'm going to talk about later. You know what? Don't forget about Ty Simpson down there at Alabama, because he's not the reason they were struggling.
25-1 right now. You get good odds on him.
I still don't hate it. I liked him as a dark horse coming into the year, and we'll talk about it in a minute. He was really good this week.
I would argue that Carson Beck should be the betting favorite right now. I would put him as a betting favorite. I'm not saying he's a runaway favorite right now for the Heisman, but I would argue he has been one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Now he's playing for one of the best teams in the country. I don't know if Oklahoma will be up there like Miami will at the end of the year. So, and also I think Carson Beck's played a little bit, or at least as good, if not better than John Mateer. So I currently would argue Carson Beck would be my current number 1 for the Heisman.
And you, sir, had to go tweeting it out too early.
Oh,
that Joey Aguilar had Tennessee won that game would have been your Heisman favorite, and you tweeted it out halfway through the third quarter or whenever you tweeted it out.
Oh no, it was like earlier than that. It was like the first quarter when he was lighting up the scoreboard. I was like, dude, this guy's the Heisman favorite right now. Now, Eli, actually, I want to apologize to Eli
This is on you.
Eli and every Tennessee fan out there. That was on me. That whole loss is on me. I've jinxed a lot of things this year in college football. Clemson being one of them, unfortunately. And I think I jinxed Joey Aguilar in that game against Georgia. So that's my bad.
Yeah, that's what. And the saddest part is you probably would have been right, but you just shouldn't have said it.
No, I know.
You can never say things too early. You should know that you've done this long enough. You
got to be first on Twitter. You know this. You don't know this because you're barely on social media.
I see that exactly. See, I don't.
Got to fire the takes off.
I don't rush to be first. I'd rather be right than be first.
Yeah.
Much rather. You want to be first, so you call out things.
You call out
things
Aguilar.
8 minutes into a game that there's a new Heisman favorite, and look what you did. Look what you did.
Still up there.
Look what you did to Eli.
Yeah.
You still haven't eaten your oranges yet either.
I still have to eat my oranges. You're right. I do have to eat my oranges. Sorry, Eli. Sorry, Tennessee. That was on me. But yeah, Joey Aguilar still in it. 16-1 odds right now, which is somewhere in the top 10. I don't know exactly where. I think it's like 9th or 10th. So yeah, he's still in it right now. But yeah, not the Heisman favorite, unfortunately, anymore. But John Mateer he's plus 800 right now. You can bet it all on DraftKings Sportsbook. The rivalries are real. The bands are loud. And the upsets are already shaking up the rankings. College football is rolling, and there's still time to turn your picks into big payouts with DraftKings Sportsbook. Think you know the game? Prove it every Saturday. From live betting during the game to rivalry week odds boosts and so much more, DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from kickoff until the final whistle. Whether you're betting on your go-to team or making moves mid-game as the momentum shifts, Saturdays are yours to own with DraftKings Sportsbook. Here's something special for first-timers. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly for new customers. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That is code PFF for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies with jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, next up in our Week 3 grade release show, number 3 LSU taking down Florida 20-10, the final score. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the LSU Tigers. Mansour Delaney's had a great start to his season. The Virginia Tech cornerback, maybe being a first-round pick now in this year's draft. 80.1 grade linebacker West Weeks, not Whit Weeks, West Weeks, one of the 3 Weeks brothers that play linebacker for LSU, with a 76.7 grade. AJ Halsey, the safety, 74.8. Cornerback P.J. Woodland, 74.1. Wide receiver Xavion Thomas, 69.8. And Garrett Nussmeier, one of the favorites for the Heisman Trophy, with a 78.5 grade in the win for LSU. Let's go over to Florida with their highest graded players in the loss. Linebacker Miles Graham, 81.9. Edge rusher George Gumbs Jr., 78.4. Cornerback Dijon Johnson, 74.6. Another cornerback here, Devin Moore, 73.5. Cameron James, the edge rusher, 69.8, and DJ Lagway with a 61 grade in the loss. Dalton, that might surprise some people because of the 5 interceptions he had in this game. I'll talk about that in a second. But he did have a few big-time throws, which is why I got dragged up. But make no mistake, it was a ugly performance for DJ Lagway in this one. But what told the story for you in this game?
Yeah, obviously the decision-making from Lagway, especially late in the game, was not very good at all. But the story of this LSU season so far has been this secondary. And look, if you had told me that LSU in their first 2 big games would score 17 points on offense and then 13 points on offense, in this game they got 7 on a pick 6, I would have told you they would have been done for the season, basically, that they're just not good enough. No, 84.7 coverage grade as a team, 89.6 coverage grade as a team this season, and that includes games, again, against DJ Lagway and Cade Klubnik in there. That's 15th in the country right now, which, considering the level of competition, is about as good as you can do. And I think one of the big things in this game, look, we know DJ Lagway likes the deep ball. He had the 3rd best deep passing grade in the country last year. LSU is one of just 2 Power 4 teams through Week 3 to not allow a completion of 20 or more air yards, to not allow a deep completion. 0 for 7. Take a wild guess at the other one if you want.
Oh, I don't even know. Penn State?
Nope.
Oh.
Nebraska. It is
okay.
LSU and Nebraska.
And Dalton, we're talking about Cade Klubnik and DJ Lagway.
And Nebraska's played Cincinnati and 2 Group of 5 teams.
We're talking about my number 1 quarterback in the country and the 3rd highest graded deep ball passer last year, DJ Lagway. I mean, you're talking about 2 apparently elite, or should be elite, quarterbacks throwing the deep ball, and they have not let up a deep completion at all yet.
Right now, what we've seen, to me, let me know if I'm missing anyone, the 3 best secondaries that I've watched in the country so far are LSU, Ohio State, and Texas. Those are the 3 best secondaries in the country right now. Ohio State and Texas, that was the case last year. LSU, that was certainly not the case. They were 95th in coverage grade last year. But I'm just going to throw my most impressive in there. And it's funny because it's not one of the guys who had one of the 5 interceptions. It's actually Mansour Delaney. And what he's doing right now through 3 weeks is playing himself into the first-round conversation. Yeah. 79.1 coverage grade in this game. 6 targets, 2 catches allowed, 11 yards, 5 tackles, a pass breakup, 2 pressures as a blitzer. Second in the nation in coverage grade, 88.4, 16.4 passer rating allowed right now. Right, the same thing I said about Leonard Moore earlier. Just don't throw at Mansour Delane right now. It's because an incompletion is more worth your time, according to that passer rating. 16.4 passer rating allowed, third best among all corners who've been targeted at least 10 times. This guy has been everything that LSU could have dreamed of and more, along with the rest of the right. A.J. Halsey at safety had a pick in this game. He had a fantastic interception.
Pickett, true freshman.
DJ Pickett, the true freshman. P.J. Woodland. Yeah. I mean, you're just talking about a complete secondary that right now is the heartbeat of this team. It's not Garrett Nussmeier. It's not the offense. It is this defense. It's Blake Baker with all the pressures. And again, after being so bad last year at defending explosive pass plays, they're one of 2 teams in the Power 4, and I believe one of 6 in the entire country that has not allowed a deep completion. If the offense can get rolling, because right now they are not, and I know Brian Kelly, he said, I don't know if you saw the presser after the game last night, he was irritated because the first question he got is about why the offense is struggling. And he was annoyed that, they won the game, and he's like, why don't you ask me about the good things that happened first? I get it. Look, if LSU, if you told me their first 2 games, or their first 2 big games, were going to be 17-10 and 20-10, I'd be like, no, they're losing. There's no way, not a chance. And yet, they're 3-0. They're a top 5 team in the country. I think they have a top 3 secondary in the country right now. That's the story right now, is all these transfers in the secondary and their ability to shut it down on the back end while Blake Baker can call up whatever pressure he wants because he trusts those guys so early in the season.
And you mentioned last year they were so bad in the secondary. Even 2 years ago with Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, they didn't make the playoff. They had the best offense in the country 2 years ago with those guys who are all 3 of them are killing it in the NFL right now in only their second season. And they still missed the playoff at 9-3 because the defense is that bad and the secondary is that bad. Now all of a sudden you're talking about a secondary that's playing elite football right now, and you mentioned it. If you told me that LSU would score a combined 37 points against Florida and Clemson, I would have said, wow, LSU's 1-2 to start the season.
Yeah.
And here they are. They're 3-0.
Their defense is the reason they are 3-0. The reason. Offensively, they struggle to run the ball. Nussmeier hasn't been able to take all the deep shots, like he did at points last year. But this defense, you could not convince me of a game where in their first 2 big games on offense, they've scored 30 points combined, and yet they've won both of them. Spectacular stuff. But if you're doing early Broyles Award winner right now,
Blake Baker.
It's Blake Baker by a mile. It's Blake Baker.
Yeah,
not even close. Yeah. I know it's after week 3, but if we were giving that award outright, it's Blake Baker by a mile, unanimously.
The best assistant coach in college football, for anyone who doesn't know, the Broyles Award out there. He is incredible. They hired him from Missouri a couple years ago. He's done a great job with that LSU defense right now. I would argue that LSU secondary is the most improved unit in college football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's incredible. My stat is DJ Lagway, 7 turnover-worthy plays for him in this loss. It's the most by any quarterback in the country this year. A quarterback has not committed more than 7 turnover-worthy plays in a game since the 2019 season, when Kentucky quarterback Sawyer Smith had 11 turnover-worthy plays against Mississippi State. He finished the game with 5 interceptions. It seems like DJ Lagway has not progressed much, if at all, from his true freshman year. He's still missing defenders in zone coverage, dropping in zone coverage. His accuracy is still an issue too. He has all the physical talent in the world. There's no denying that. He is one of the most physically talented quarterbacks that we have in college football. But he needs serious development where he can become a superstar in college football right now, and this was a disaster of a game for him in this one.
Very worried. Very, very worried about DJ Lagway. And obviously this Florida team. Their next 3 games are Miami, Texas, Texas A&M.
And he's got a top, 5-ish offensive line in the country and a great receiving core to throw to, and it's just not working.
This is the problem. This is exactly what you're getting at. Because, okay, so let's say last week even last year, 7 turnover-worthy plays in the time that he played, 3% turnover-worthy play rate. For a guy that throws as vertically as Lagway does, it's not bad, okay? Up until this game, I never really questioned his decision-making, okay? Accuracy, yeah. Footwork, yeah. He needed to make throws. The easier throws were getting away from him. This is the first week. Here, you want to, in this game, under pressure, 73.7 passing grade. Clean pocket.
That's really good.
Clean pocket in this game, 53.5. with 6 of the 7 turnover-worthy plays in a clean pocket.
Yep.
All of a sudden, now you worry about habits. And I was already worried about the habits with Lagway's footwork and the accuracy and how it affected his mechanics. In the USF game, he made, there was one big-time throw that was dropped that could have won the game, but there was some easy throws he missed in that game. There was easy throws he missed last year underneath. Underneath accuracy and footwork was always the concern. If we're stacking decision-making onto the concerns of DJ Lagway, and I know this LSU secondary is playing great, but again, your decision-making better be pretty good against Ruben Bain in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Or against Texas, or when you go to Texas A&M. If your decision-making starts going, boy, what do we have with this Florida offense other than a good offensive line with not much execution behind it?
Yep.
Extreme levels of worry with Florida right now. I mean, not just the fact that they're 1-2 with a brutal schedule coming, but if this is where DJ Lagway is going, oh boy, the Gators, there's some hard times coming because you can't. The throws in the second half of this game were extremely concerning.
Yeah, Florida right now, and you mentioned it, Florida has the 4th best pass blocking grade in college football. This offensive line is as good as advertised going into the year. I had it as a top 5 offensive line in the country. They're playing like it right now. And usually when a quarterback has 7 turnover-worthy plays, a lot of it has to do with the pressure getting to him. You mentioned it, Dalton. He had 6 turnover-worthy plays when he was cleaning the pocket. He was just missing defenders in zone coverage.
You want something else, too? On the theme of the other side of LSU not allowing deep completions, we are 3 games into this year for Florida. DJ Lagway has 1 deep completion.
Was it against Long Island?
I believe so, yeah.
Because they didn't have any against USF. I remember that. That's one of my stats.
1 deep completion for this team.
Against an FCS team.
With 3 interceptions. DJ Lagway, look, last year the appeal was the deep ball, and that's fun, but this is the one thing with him that I tried to say, under 20 yards, he had one of the worst passing grades in the country last year. The accuracy and the footwork are not there. Now when things are speeding up on him, it's affecting the decision-making. And the accuracy is still scattershot. Don't love it. Don't love the process that's happening right now with the Gators offense. And they need to figure out how to maybe run this offense more through Jaden Baugh. They need to get him some easier throws. These teams in the SEC, once they know what you're about, look, I'm saying the same thing right now with Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. Because we had the same thing about Sellers in South Carolina, and at times we got ripped for it. Look, the deep ball's great, but if you can't make those underneath throws and you can't move the chains in the SEC where they keep the lid on it, most of these defenses, except for Arkansas and Ole Miss, boy, it's going to get to be a struggle now. Because you think Miami's going to just give up deep shots and Ruben Bain's coming right at your head? You think Texas is going to just give up deep shots? That's not how this works. Florida needs to figure out this offense and how to move the chains more consistently.
No, to be fair, he's still only a true sophomore. Still plenty of time for him in his college career. But this year, at least, it's worrying for Florida right now. This is a big year for Billy Napier, to say the least. At Florida, he needs his young quarterback to be playing a lot better than what he did against LSU. My most impressive, real quick, Deshaun Spears, I want to go with in that secondary. You didn't see Deshaun Spears in the top 5 highest graded players for us because he only played in 9 snaps. And we have a minimum for our highest graded players of 25 snaps. So how on earth is a guy who played 9 snaps in this game one of my most impressive players in this game? He was incredible across those 9 snaps. A 96.2 PFF grade on those 9 snaps. He had 2 interceptions on 9 total snaps in this game, including a 58-yard pick 6 in the third quarter. LSU's only up 13-10 at that point. That gave them a 20-10 lead, and obviously they finished at 20-10 in this ball game. Their secondary all around, mentioned before, Mansour Delane, DJ Pickett, a lot of other guys were great, but Spears made massive plays on 25% of his snaps. It really was an incredible performance, and this is a guy that I'm sure Blake Baker is going to the tape, seeing he has 9 snaps, seeing those 2 picks, one of them pick 6, and going, man, this guy's going to play a lot more in our secondary. He's playing like that.
I mean, look at all these guys. Spears in 9 snaps had maybe the biggest plays of the game. Tamarcus Cooley, A.J. Halsey, DJ Pickett, Mansour Delane. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody here. P.J. Woodland.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all these guys LSU all of a sudden has in this secondary. And if they get the offense rolling, it's going to be hard to find them losing a whole lot of games. And you mentioned it earlier. Whit Weeks, their middle linebacker, got ejected for targeting 3 snaps into the game, and his brother comes in and is fantastic. This defense is a whole different animal right now. And if they get the offense rolling, Yeah, they're one of the elite teams in college football. There's nothing else you can really say about it.
And Ashton Stamps didn't even play in this game either.
Ashton Stamps didn't even play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The number of guys all of a sudden, it's like the old. You feel like you're watching an LSU game from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where they used to win games 17-10 every week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Again, what Blake Baker's doing with this defense, and not just the talent, but the creativity that he's throwing in with it. Unbelievable stuff so far from LSU's defense.
They used to be known as DBU at LSU, and over the last few years, it's been laughable to be calling them DBU. But now, I mean, this secondary looks like the old DBUs of the past, where you had guys like Derek Stingley Jr., obviously Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, legendary players at LSU. I don't know if we have a true megastar like that yet. Maybe DJ Pickett turns into that for LSU. Maybe Deshaun Spears makes a pick on every play of his career, but
I'll tell you right now, Mansour Delane's gunning for a Jim Thorpe Award is what he's doing.
Yeah, that could be it.
He's on the short list right now, for sure.
But they've been incredible in that secondary. Two teams in the SEC that have not been incredible in the secondary in this one. Number 17, Ole Miss, 41-35 over Arkansas. Let's go over the highest graded players in this shootout, starting off with the Ole Miss Rebels. Their highest graded player was their quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, 85.9. I'll talk about him later. But Deuce Alexander, the wide receiver, 76.7. Another wide receiver in Trey Wallace, 73.6. Sontaran Perkins, the edge rusher, 72.7. Ricky Fletcher, the cornerback, 71. Will Eccles, the defensive tackle, 70.2. Let's go over to Arkansas with their highest graded player in the loss, edge rusher Quincy Rhodes Jr., 86.6. Julian Neal, cornerback, 77.3. Offensive tackle Corey Robinson, the second, 75.3. Offensive tackle Marion Harris, 75. Philip Lee, the edge rusher, 67.4. And Talon Green, the quarterback, with a 74.4 grade in the loss for Arkansas. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
Plain and simple. Two things had to happen if Arkansas was going to win this game. One, Talon Green had to stay hot. There were a couple of mistakes that were shaky, a couple of misses, but for the most part, Talon Green was good in this game. That was number one. Number two, they had to play better. They could not be the same Arkansas secondary that they were last year. And they were. In this game, they gave up 63 points to Ole Miss last year, and Jackson Dart and all those guys. You wanted to see better. Now, is 41 points better than 63? Sure. But, I mean, it's more of the same. Arkansas has got to contain big plays better. 52.4 coverage grade in this game. Even amongst last year's, all the nonsense that happened in the secondary last year, that would have been the third worst coverage grade against any team they played last year. And that includes Ole Miss, who I believe they improved from a 30 to a 52, but it's still not good enough. If Arkansas wants to compete with the better teams in the SEC, I think their offense is good enough. I think Bobby Petrino can score enough points to compete with anybody. That's what happened in this game. But they have to be better in the secondary. They can't give up the number of explosive pass plays that they do. 6 different players in their coverage unit allowed at least 20 yards. In their last 8 SEC games, Max, they have 2 interceptions. Both of them against Mississippi State last year with Michael Van Buren, right, was playing for them at the time. 2 interceptions in their last 8 SEC games. Coverage unit needs to be better, or they will be losing a lot of shootouts like this once again.
Yeah, my stat is on both sides, over 1,000 yards of total offense in this game. Exactly 1,001 yards of total offense in this game. A lot like Georgia-Tennessee, defense was optional in this one. Both teams averaged over 7 yards per play. You mentioned the coverage grade for Arizona. It always seems like this Arkansas-Ole Miss rivalry turns into shootouts. Actually, in the last 5 meetings, Dalton, the average total points was 78 points.
Should have slammed the over.
This is always slam the over for Arkansas-Ole Miss because they are always going over that total. It felt like one of those games where if you had the ball last, you were going to win, and Ole Miss ultimately pulled out this victory 41-35. Dalton, what was the most impressive part? We had the same most impressive, honestly, for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go first, because just Trinidad Chambliss and look with Arkansas, we both picked Arkansas to win this game. We both picked them, honestly, to win. I picked them to win this game even if Simmons was playing, because Simmons wasn't playing great. And what Trinidad Chambliss came in this game and did, come up from Ferris State after winning a D2 national title last year and get thrown in the fire against, I know it's not a great Arkansas defense, but it's the SEC, and you're on a barn burner of a game. He was spectacular. And then I want to throw out just, too, there was a moment here where Chambliss got hurt, and Austin Simmons had to come in on a bad ankle. Clearly not okay.
Oh, yeah.
For all the suspense there was pregame, which was weird, and who knows about dodging injury reports and things like that. But Austin Simmons had to come in for a few plays. He runs the ball and takes a shot on that ankle, that already bad ankle, and he throws a touchdown pass when he can hardly move. I mean, credit to both. It reminds me, there was a game last year, I forget who they were playing, when SMU had a similar effort like this, where Kevin Jennings, might have been against Louisville maybe, Kevin Jennings played a great game. He came out for a couple plays. Preston Stone comes in and throws a touchdown. Jennings then goes back. It just reminded me of that.
Early on, they beat BYU with both of them playing, I remember.
I thought there was maybe it was the BYU. I forget which game it was, but SMU had a game like this last year with Stone and Jennings, and Simmons had to come in here and throw a touchdown. And again, every point mattered in this game. You mentioned 1,000 total yards of offense, but you just have to be impressed with the way that Chambliss just stayed composed, and he was the best player on the field in this game, and the way that Lane Kiffin, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I know Simmons and the ankle, and you never want to just bench your guy for an injury, but Chambliss, especially with the running, he gives them a different dimension in this offense. I have to wonder if Kiffin would think about, you know what, maybe that's our guy.
I know Austin Simmons is the starter right now, but is there a more efficient quarterback than Austin Simmons as a backup coming in for one drive? Because remember last year when Jackson Dart got hurt against Georgia, he led them on a touchdown drive. And this one, when they needed him to play for a little bit on the bum ankle, he throws a touchdown too. So really he's 2 for 2 on these drives where he had to play for a little bit.
Right.
So
and credit to him for coming in and getting the job done. And that's why Kiffin left him available. And
he was clearly unhealthy too.
He couldn't move. He couldn't move at all. I mean, you could see it even when he's stepping into his throws. He just couldn't do it. But you really have to wonder. There's sometimes, and again, you don't want to give guys jobs away for injuries. We saw this with Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning last year. But boy, sometimes there's some performances that open your eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
And Trinidad Chambliss, you sit here and wonder, you go, that offense, there was, especially again with the rushing, the dual threat, the option threats there were in this offense, that looked different. And I like Austin Simmons. He's talented. I think he's going to be good.
But he's had some issues this year, though.
But he's had ball security, and that's the other thing. Chambliss protected the football.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had a single turnover with he play. I don't think he did.
He did not. No, he did not.
I mean, if he's going to protect the football and add the rushing threat that they're missing, and he was distributing the ball all over the place, you got some big games coming. You got a big game coming next week.
Yeah.
Tulane's really good. It's something to think about. I like Austin Simmons. I have no disrespect to Austin Simmons. He's a young kid. He's going to get better. But the way that makes you wonder. What we saw last night from Chambliss makes you wonder.
And also, he doesn't look the way Simmons looked last night with that ankle. I don't know if he's going to be healthy.
He may not even play. He may not even play.
So you might give Chambliss another shot in this one too against Memphis.
And in the current form, the next couple weeks, you got Tulane and LSU. I think if you're Lane Kiffin and you won this game, you squeaked it out. You squeaked out the Kentucky game by 1 score. But if you still want to make the playoff, if you really want to do that, you have to ask yourself, who gives us a better shot to win these games right here? Because they got 2 tough ones coming.
My most impressive has to be Trinidad Chambliss. You mentioned it before. But, I mean, listen, we both picked Arkansas, and that's when we thought Simmons was even playing in this one, and we thought he'd be healthy enough to play. And then when I found out that Chambliss was starting, I'll be honest, I put a lot of money on Arkansas money line. A lot of money. And Chambliss, congrats to you, man, for proving me wrong, because he had an incredible game. He also, Trinidad Chambliss, dealt with an injury of his own in this game. He had an injury to his non-throwing hand in this game, too, which is why Simmons had to come in for a few plays in that one. But Chambliss overall, 83.8 passing grade, 21 for 29, 353 yards, and a touchdown. 2 big-time throws, 0 turnover plays. He also led Ole Miss with 58 yards on the ground and 2 rushing touchdowns, too. You mentioned before, he led Ferris State last year to a Division II national championship. Just really impressive stuff from Trinidad Chambliss. And now there is a quarterback controversy brewing in Ole Miss right now.
I think so. Maybe Lane Kiffin wouldn't say that, but if you sit there and watch a tape of that kid last night, you really have to think about it, especially with the 2 really good defenses they're about to play the next 2 weeks.
Definitely. All right, well, a shootout there in Ole Miss beating Arkansas 41-35 to stay undefeated on the season. We'll talk about Ole Miss later in my top 25. Next up is the backyard brawl, and unfortunately the final backyard brawl for at least a few years. Actually, we're going to get a backyard brawl from 2029 through 2036, I believe. So awesome news there, but we will have to wait a few years before we get another one. That's unfortunate because this one has always turned into amazing games, and this one was no different. West Virginia beating Pittsburgh 31-24 in overtime in the backyard brawl too. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the Mountaineers. Their highest graded player, I'll talk about him in just a second, is Michael Coates Jr., the cornerback, 80.1. Ty Edwards, the running back, 76.2. Cornerback Jordan Scruggs, 75.5. Jason Chambers, the cornerback, 69.1. Also the 69.1 grade is wide receiver Rodney Gallagher II. And Nico Marchiol, the quarterback, with a 62.6 grade.
One of many.
Yeah, one of many quarterbacks for West Virginia. I believe 3, right?
3 played, and he played 2 separate times. he was the first and the fourth in this game.
That's awesome. I love that. It's any way you can win the backyard brawl, you got to do it.
This is exactly why you do your quarterback room rankings, is this West Virginia team right here.
Exactly. Marchiol getting benched for a little bit, coming back in later on. But Pittsburgh, with their highest graded players, Nick James, D-tackle, 85.6. Another D-tackle, Sean Fitzsimmons, 80.6. Another D-tackle here, Francis Brew, 79.6. Edge rusher Blaine Spires, 78.3. Cruz Brookins, the safety, 78.1. And Eli Holstein with a 54.4 grade. In the loss for Pitt. Dalton, what told the story for you?
I mean, just first of all, just a fascinatingly wild football game that you always get between these two games. Last year, West Virginia had a 10-point lead with 5 minutes left. They blew the game. Pitt won it.
Yeah.
This year, Pitt's got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they blow it, and they lose it in overtime. You have the story of Marchiol, and then they go to Scotty Fox, and then they go to Jalen Henderson, and then they go back to Marchiol for those last 3 drives. And Rich Rodriguez is just the mad scientist with this court. Maybe he was playing possum the whole time on Marchiol. I don't know, but either way, the last 3 drives are really the story. Nico Marchiol in the fourth quarter and overtime, when he came back in for his second stint, 77.5 passing grade, 10 of 13, 116 yards, the game-tying touchdown. Just, I don't even know how to explain this game. I really don't, because after a while I'm watching it.
It's backyard brawl, man.
This is just not, I mean, because you had West Virginia up 14-3. Pitt goes up 24-14. And then Marchiol comes back in for a second try with about 9-10 minutes left. And he scores 17 points and they outscore Pitt 17-0 the rest of the way. And Pitt, with their one chance maybe to close the game out, just under 3 minutes left. They had a 4th and 4 at the West Virginia 37. Maybe your kicker's good enough to hit a 55-yarder. Maybe you just go for it to try to ice the game. Instead, they decide to take a delay of game, punt it all of 29 yards, give West Virginia the chance to tie the game. They do tie the game, and then they win in overtime. I mean, just a wild, nonsensical football game that you could get only in a handful of rivalries in this sport. And Pitt, West Virginia is one of them. And like you mentioned, boy, Pitt's got to sit on that. The Pitt fans have to sit on that till 2029.
Oh, yeah.
That's tough. And West Virginia, credit to them, obviously, they've got a boatload of transfers. There's a boatload of transfers that made an impact in this game. Rich Rodriguez is trying to build the culture and put it together. They just lost their best player to a season-ending injury last week, and yet they find a way. I mean, you just credit Rich Rodriguez for keeping his team in the game, and the quarterback bit in this game was one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We saw 3 different guys, and one of them twice, and eventually on the 4th try, that's the one that wins them the game. Just unreal stuff in the fourth quarter and overtime in this game. Just unbelievable.
Really, one of my stats has to be Holstein just not taking advantage of a vulnerable West Virginia secondary. And how about West Virginia with a 76.6 coverage grade in this one, too? Easily the highest of the season. And they played Robert Morris in Ohio in their first 2 games, and they had their best coverage grade this week against Pitt. But really, Pitt also had 14 penalties for 118 yards. The penalties killed the Panthers in this ball game. West Virginia only had 6 penalties for 60 yards, so far more disciplined play from West Virginia. These penalties really stalled Pitt's drives, and they extended West Virginia drives too. And it really was a factor in Pitt blowing a 10-point lead to West Virginia in the fourth quarter when their defense had been playing well too. These penalties for Pitt just really killed them in this one.
I'm looking. You said 76.6 for West Virginia's coverage grade?
Yeah.
I was just looking back because I know it was rough last year. It's higher than any game last year. And I'm going back through the years. That's their highest since week 9 of 2020. And this was one of the worst secondaries in college football last year. And
Yeah.
you mentioned the Nevada transfer, Michael Coates. He's an excellent football player. Loved him from Nevada last year. But that's their highest coverage grade in 5 years.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either. I figured I was looking back to see, okay, it's higher than any game last year, right? And of course it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like going. It's been since 2020. That's their best coverage grade in 5 years. It's just crazy. And they did. And Holstein struggled in this game big time.
And they needed him.
And
this is the game where he should have been carrying them to a win, and he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for a while, and obviously they benefited from West Virginia turnovers and their poor quarterback play, but it was a struggle for Holstein in this game, and you feel like all of a sudden, and it feels like last year when West Virginia blew the Pitt game, and then everything kind of tanked from there. I'm not saying Pitt's going to tank, but they got some things to figure out here. They just gave up 31 points to a team that didn't even know who their quarterback was within this game. So, yeah. I mean, there's a long way to go. West Virginia's got a fun game against Kansas next week. There's a lot to figure out for both of these teams, but huge win to get the backyard brawl. And Rich Rodriguez's first one back, too. Got to love that.
I love that, yeah. Who was your most impressive player from this game?
Well, what I talked about in the preview was somebody had to step up for Jaheim White. And it ended up being a guy that was not mentioned in the preview because he only played 8 snaps and did not get a carry in their first 2 games. The Northern Iowa transfer, Ty Edwards, 6'2", 225 pounds, 25 carries in this game. Came out of nowhere, didn't get a carry the first 2 games. So, of course, we could have predicted that. 141 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 missed tackles forced. Where was this guy the first 2 games? I want to know where he was when they were in trouble against Ohio last week. I mean, Ty Edwards, he had a 1,000-yard season at Northern Iowa last year, and obviously you're jumping up from the FCS, but man, he's the guy now. We were asking in Jaheim White's absence for somebody to step up in this backfield. It's Ty Edwards. That's it. That's your answer. Done deal. He proved it in this game, and he had the game-winning touchdown at the end as well. Just a big 225-pound back that really was the answer for West Virginia in a running game that's so crucial to their offense.
I'll shout out Michael Coates Jr. here, the cornerback, who we actually, in our preview for West Virginia before the season, we actually shouted him out as the defensive player to know for this team, and he transferred over from Nevada. He had a very good year at Nevada the year before with an 80.9 PFF grade, and we said, hey, they need this guy, considering the secondary was the 5th worst coverage grade in the country last year. They need guys like Michael Coates Jr. to come in and perform at a high level for the secondary to be better, and he did in this game. 80.2 PFF grade, 1 catch allowed for 2 yards on 35 coverage snaps. Also had a forced incompletion in this ball game too. Like I said, they needed Michael Coates Jr. to come in and be the leader of this secondary, and he was the best player on the field, in my opinion, in this backyard brawl.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's a really good football player. You get a transfer in like that who played as well as he did at Nevada last year, and that can really fix your secondary. It was fantastic stuff from West Virginia's defense.
All right, let's go from one Big 12 team winning to another Big 12 game. Houston taking down Colorado in our final game review in Week 3. Beating them 36-20 on Friday night. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Houston Cougars, starting off with their defensive tackle, Carlos Allen Jr., 80.2 grade. Stephon Johnson, the wide receiver, 73.5. Rook Brown, the safety, 73.2. Mark Stampley, the second, the safety, 70.2. Another corner here, and Latrell McCutcheon Sr., another defensive back, I should have said, 69.9. And then Connor Wigman with a very good 78.8 grade in the win for Houston. Let's go over to Colorado with their highest graded players in the loss, starting off with edge rusher Alexander McPherson, 83.2. Sean Myers, 80.1. The linebacker Tawfiq Byard, the younger brother of Kevin Byard, all-pro safety, 79.1. Jordan Seaton, looking like one of the best, maybe the best pass blocker in college football, 77 grade in the loss. Arden Walker, edge rusher, 76.2. Ryan Staub making his second career start for Colorado, and maybe his final one. We'll see what goes on later on in the year, but it was not pretty for him with only a 28.8 grade in the loss for the Buffaloes. Dalton, what was the stat told story for you?
This Colorado offense, and this is what I was worried about before Week 1. We've previewed 2 of their games. I picked against them in both because they have no identity on offense. They have no idea what they want to be on offense. If it's Caden Salter, if it's Ryan Staub, if at some point here very soon it's Juju Lewis, 88% of their yards in this game came on their 3 touchdown drives. They are not sustaining it. There are moments, right? It's the 2-minute drill before the end of the first half. There are moments, there were moments with Caden Salter, right? But there is no consistency. There is no identity to this offense. And every offense, and the problem is right now, I just don't, I watch them offensively. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they want to be a run-first team. And if it was Caden Salter, that would be your quarterback. I don't know if they want a quick passing game like they had last year with either Staub or Lewis. I don't see them attack downfield often enough, even though they do probably have at least a couple receivers who can do that. I just don't see. And the worst part about it, they have right now the 10th best pass blocking grade in the country. If they had this pass protection last year, and again, different unit, Seton in year 2, they got some transfers. This offensive line is actually the best part of this team right now. If they had this pass protection last year, they wouldn't have lost a game.
Imagine saying that the best part of Colorado was the offensive line like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's not just because everything else is so bad, even though offensively it kind of is. Again, 10th best pass blocking grade in the country.
No, Seton is
Jordan Seton right now.
superstar.
Jordan Seton right now might be the best pass blocker in the country. This Houston defense, they're playing really good football. The secondary, Willie Fritz has got this secondary playing really well. They stopped the run well with Carlos Allen and those guys up front. This Houston defense, the offense is still a work in progress. They did score 36 in this game. It was better. I thought they played better in this game offensively, Houston, than the first 2 games. Wigman's still in work in progress as a passer. The passing game is going to be a concern for me going forward. But Dean Connors in the run game. Tanner Koziol's really good. That's an NFL tight end. But this Colorado offense, I don't know what you have to look at and believe that they can get better. I've no because and the offensive line is good this time, and it's everything else. And the quarterback situation tells you everything you need to know. The fact that Ryan Staub, first of all, the Delaware game and all 3 guys playing, and the fact that Ryan Staub started this game tells you they don't have any direction offensively at all.
Yeah, the fact that and Staub was phenomenal, I will say, in the Delaware game, but the fact that 13 dropbacks against Delaware was enough for them to go, let's start him next game. Let's just see what happens next game. That's really what
against a team
that just joined the
FBS. They're just joined the FBS. Their second game in the FBS. And you don't let – I know Salter struggled with the accuracy, but wouldn't you want to let him – I know Staub played, but wouldn't you want to try to let Salter ride it out?
Yeah.
Like, okay, if he actually –
in this game when Staub was struggling, why not put him in?
Because Staub got the drive before the 2-minute, and this was a 2-point game at halftime. So they showed enough flashes in the second quarter that you go, okay, maybe he's finding a rhythm, and then he just never did. No, this Colorado team offensively, this is a mess.
Outside of pass blocking, they're a mess right now.
Yeah.
My stat is 52.8 offensive grade for Colorado in this loss. They had sub-60 grades in passing, receiving, rushing, and run blocking. 52.8 offensive grade in this game is the lowest since their loss to UCLA in 2023. It's their second worst offensive grade in the Deion Sanders era at Colorado. They have no idea who the quarterback is right now for this team. He really struggled. Staub really struggled against Houston. Salter has not looked great in 2 games either. Do you try out a true freshman in Julian Lewis, a highly rated true freshman at that, but do you try him out and see what happens there? I don't know. The receiving weapons don't look great right now either after losing, I think, their top 4 receivers from last year, I believe. So they lost a lot from last year. The only thing, and I mean the only thing you could bank on right now is that offensive line being really good in pass protection, and Jordan Seton is an outright superstar. This guy's a superstar. I think he's going to be the best tackle in America going into next year. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. 2 in 2027, the way he's playing right now, he is a franchise left tackle. I do have no doubts about that. But if your only thing on offense is your offensive line, I mean, look at Iowa. Iowa's offense is the offensive line. That's not good enough right now, right? Colorado's kind of feels like the same thing for them right now. It's just a lot going wrong for them. So I wanted to ask you, Dalton, before we move on to Houston. I know Houston fans are probably watching saying there's way too much Colorado talk, but real quick, who would you start next week for Colorado at quarterback against Wyoming? I'd probably go back to Salter.
Probably Salter. The problem is if you put Julian Lewis out there, you want to protect him. But your offensive line is good, and he actually will be protected. But at the same time, is it worth burning a red shirt with where this offense is at right now? Because, again,
I don't know if I worry about a red shirt right now.
Honestly. I think the problem for Colorado's offense, it's half quarterback play and half offensive philosophy. I don't know what they want to do on offense. Last year it was, all right, we have Shedeur. Let's just let him rip. He's an NFL quarterback. I don't know until I know what if they want to run the football and be that kind of team and be an option team and something more like that, then you play Salter. Ryan Staub that's not the answer. They tried that. Okay, you just can't send Ryan Staub back out there for another game like playing like that. So if you want to run the football and you want to commit to more grinding, maybe and they got to get better on defense too. Their run defense is not on the level it was last year, and they still make a lot of the same mistakes that they do with certain things, quarterback run and running backs wheeling out of the backfield. They still make some of the same mistakes. So this is an average defense too, to me. If you want to slow the game down and run the ball, play Salter. If you want to run it more like you did with Staub this week, then you play Lewis, and then you just go, you know what, kid, the offensive line's pretty good. Let's just develop in the fire.
A good offensive line with Julian Lewis, based on his play in high school, that is a recipe for success.
The entire goal for this Colorado offense should have been know who your starting quarterback is before this game, before the first Big 12 game. Even if you lost the Georgia Tech game, know who the quarterback is before this game. Now we are past the first Big 12 game, and they have no idea who their quarterback is. It's not good.
Yeah.
Salter is probably the answer. But you still have to tilt the offense in a way that he can produce.
Yeah.
Because he can't run the same offense that Shedeur did or Ryan Staub or Julian Lewis. He's a different type of player.
No. I'm blaming the quarterbacks. I'm blaming Pat Shurmur right now for this offense. My ears are ringing. I can already see all the comments right now from Houston fans saying, can we please get to us because we actually won this football game.
Absolutely.
Let's get to Houston right now. What impressed you the most in this victory?
All right, I'm going to start with the guy I think is the best defensive player, Carlos Allen Jr., the big defensive tackle. And I'll tell you what, the impact that he has on games reminds me a bit of when Houston had Jamari Caldwell a couple of years ago before his last year at Oregon. And
I thought you were going to say Ed Oliver for a second. I was like, oh,
easy now.
I got excited.
That's you're getting a little high. We're not gonna go back that far now. Maybe we'll get there. Give me another couple weeks. Maybe we'll get to Ed Oliver status. But no, I mean Carlos Allen, just fantastic stuff. And the big thing for me, I think, is just he's one of those defensive tackles. You're not gonna get the sack stats, and it's just like Jamari Caldwell. It's the same idea. 88 run defense grade in this game, right? Actually, I think no. Sorry, he had a 76.8 run defense grade with 6 tackles and 4 stops and a batted pass. When he was on the field in this game, Houston had an 88 run defense grade. When he was off the field, and there was a little stretch where he had a minor injury and then he came back. When he was off the field, 53.4 as a team. He is like, it's the same thing as Jamari Caldwell that I see with Houston and in When he's on the field, he just makes everybody better. Carlos Allen in the middle of this defense. And look, this defense, I'll be honest with you, this defense is good. This is a good defense. I think offensively, again, work in progress. To me, I watch Houston right now, and especially after this game, and I go, this is a better version of last year's team.
Yeah.
They're a little more capable of throwing the ball, but at the end of the day, they want to be physical. They want to play good defense. They want to run the ball with Dean Connors. And with Connor Wigman, you've got Tanner Koziol. To me, the tight end is their number one weapon. I think what you're getting out of Houston right now is a better version of last year's team. You go back to the blueprint of the way that, remember when they beat Kansas State? What was that, 19-17, I think that game was? It's exactly that. We're going to stop the run. We're not going to give up explosive plays. We're going to grind it out offensively. We're not going to be high-flying, and this Houston team is not going to be high-flying. But if you're a team that's looking to get – they're going to make you fight in a phone booth is what they're going to do. So credit to Houston big time. Credit to – you're going to mention Connor Wigman, especially on the ground. Dean Connors is the exact right type of physical back in this offense. I love Tanner Koziol. That's a legitimate NFL prospect. But I think Willie Fritz is really – it's kind of building it the same way he had at Tulane. Great defense. We got Mekhi Hughes. Once we got the quarterback and Michael Pratt going, then we became a big-time team. But it's going to start with being the more physical team in a phone booth.
Big day for Carlos Allen. I want to quickly, my favorite recruiting stat, Dalton, I'm sure I've told you a million times already.
You have. You told me yesterday, in fact, when I've heard it 60 times already. But please, for the people.
I have not told the people this stat.
Tell the people your favorite thing
And
ever.
also,
yes.
it involves both programs, actually. So there's only been 2 5-star recruits ever that did not go to a Power 4 school initially. It was Ed Oliver when he went to Houston back when they were part of the Americans, so not before when they were in the Big 12. And it was Travis Hunter, who went to Jackson State before transferring to Colorado. So those are the only 2 5-star recruits ever in the history that have not gone to a Power 4 school initially coming out. So I thought it was pretty fun stat. I love that stat right there.
That's your favorite anything?
And I think I've told you that a million times.
You have.
I apologize.
I believe you tell me every Saturday. I'm pretty sure.
I think we watched the Bills-Ravens game, and he forced the fumble on Derrick Henry. I was like, Ed Oliver, he's the only 5-star recruit.
He's the only other one.
I know. I get it.
Yeah. It's like, thank you. I know. We're going to watch Bengals-Jags today. And you're like, hey, there's that guy. There's that 5-star recruit. Yes,
You've heard of Travis Hunter? Yeah, I have, yeah. All right. My most impressive was Connor Wigman. He was solid as a passer in this one. 67.7 passing grade, 15 for 25, 222 yards, one big-time throw, one turnover where they played. We see right there from producer Eli putting the video up. He was excellent as a runner in this game for Houston. 17 carries for 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, another 5 first downs. Houston did a really good job of using him in the read option game and on design quarterback runs. And Dalton, you mentioned it. He struggled as a passer against man coverage in his career. But the thing is with man coverage, when defensive backs are turned to quarterbacks, that's when the mobility comes in for quarterbacks, and that's where Connor Wigman killed Colorado's defense in this game. So great day for Connor Wigman on the ground. A better day as a passer than we expected him to have too, but really good day all around for the former 5-star recruit at Texas A&M, now obviously at Houston. And now, for the first time in 9 years, your Houston Cougars are 3-0 to start the season.
And who was on that team, Max?
That was Ed Oliver.
There you go.
There we go.
There, full circle. There, you get your stat in there naturally, sort of.
Yeah.
Please. Anyway, no, certainly gritty effort from Wigman. I think the passing game for Houston is still the quote-unquote concern going forward into Big 12 play, but this team playing the physical style football that they do, they're not fun to play. I'll tell you that much. You're going to leave a little battered and bruised when you play the Cougars now.
All right, before we get to our standouts of the week, the top 25 teams heading into week 4 of college football, recapping our upset picks, and of course teasing another loaded preview show on Tuesday. Gotta talk about the sponsor of the show, that is Fabric by Gerber Life. Parenting is filled with high-pressure decisions, and it can be difficult to tell if we've made the right choice for our kids' future. But here's a simple decision you can make today that could have a meaningful impact on your kids' future. Opening a UGMA Kids Investment Account with Fabric to start their investment journey early and give them a financial head start. Fabric Gerber Life was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kids investment account from Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. While your kids can't invest when they're minors, a UGMA Kids Investment Account allows them to invest on their behalf now and gives their investments more time to grow. It's all online, and setting up an account can take you just 5 minutes. Get started investing with as little as $1 a day. Then manage your child's account and monitor their investments right from your phone. There are no contribution limits, multiple tax advantages, and they're SIPC insured up to $500,000. Plus, no commission fees and just a low, flat monthly maintenance fee. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their family. Start investing in your child today at meetfabric.com/PFFcollege. That's meetfabric.com/PFFcollege. meetfabric.com/PFFcollege. This is a paid promotion for the Fabric UGMA product and not for investment advisory services. Portfolios managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Custodial services provided by Apex Clearing Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. Terms may apply. Learn more at meetfabric.com. All right, Dalton. Outside of the games that we talked about today, let's go over our 3 standouts of the week. Who do you want to shout out first?
Let's talk about a game that we did preview, but we didn't feel necessarily the need to review the whole game, but I want to get into this a little bit. Boy, Ty Simpson, I think, was arguably the best quarterback that I saw play yesterday. He was just spectacular against Wisconsin. And honestly, to me, right now, Alabama defense better in this game, but Wisconsin plus a backup quarterback, not great. We're going to see if the defense can be better in a couple weeks against Georgia. But Ty Simpson, to me, is the biggest ray of hope. If Alabama's Alabama's going to come back from the Florida State loss and still make the playoff. It's because I think you have a legitimate quarterback. 90.1 passing grade, second straight week with a 90 passing grade for Ty Simpson. 24-29, 382, 4 touchdowns, 5 carries also for 39 yards. He is just controlling the game right now. When he's in a clean pocket, he can see it, he can make all the throws, and I think something that sticks out to me, again, only one big-time throw in this game, but you know the area of the field he controls, and I really like this. You saw this even in his previous tape. The intermediate 10 to 19 yard range, really good again in this game. There was some fantastic throws, even one under pressure to Ryan Williams. Was it Williams or Bernard to the outside, that deep 15-yard out? Incredible throw under pressure as well. Through week 3, second highest intermediate passing grade in the country. This is the area of the field that Ty Simpson's going to attack. The big plays, you're going to see him a little bit more with Ryan Williams. I thought it was a really good game from Ryan Williams on the offensive side as well, obviously. I think Ty Simpson in this offense, they're starting to get it moving, right? I need the defense even. I know in this game they only give up 7 on defense, but I still need him to play with a little more discipline in big spots. But Ty Simpson's the ray of hope right now for the Crimson Tide. They had a big win over Wisconsin.
Well, you want more discipline from the defense. Well, you got it from one of the players, in Bray Hubbard, and from the safety from Alabama. One of my standouts for this week. Bray Hubbard received a lot of criticism on social media a couple weeks ago because there were a lot of clips that went viral of him against Florida State, of him just jogging through plays sometimes out there. But he responded very well this past weekend against Wisconsin with a 92 PFF grade, 2 interceptions for Bray Hubbard, 1 catch allowed on 5 targets, also had 3 run defense stops too. He entered this season as a top 10 safety for me in college football, and these performances like this are why. And Alabama's going to need him to play like this in a couple weeks against Georgia. So really good to see Bray Hubbard, man, bounce back from all the criticism he got on social media a couple weeks ago against Florida State, having an amazing, amazing game against Wisconsin in this week.
What a ball game we're going to have in a couple weeks. What a ball game. Gunnar Stockton was extremely good this week. Ty Simpson was really good this week. Bama and Georgia, as always, it's going to be a war.
Who is your next standout?
Let me stay in the SEC. Let me get a running back that is stealing the show right now at Missouri. Ahmad Hardy against Louisiana. 91.4 rushing grade. 21 carries. 249 yards. Darn near 12 yards a carry. 3 touchdowns. 12 missed tackles forced, Max, for the second straight week. He's got 24 missed tackles in the last 2 weeks. Leads the Power 4 right now with 462 rushing yards, second in the country behind Robert Henry at UTSA. Ahmad Hardy, you got Jamal Roberts too. You got Bo Prabula. You got an offensive line with guys like Connor Tollison and Caden Green. Caden Green left tackle at a 90 grade this week as well, after moving out there again from guard this year.
Yeah, Kevin Coleman's playing great at receiver.
Kevin Coleman, Marquise Johnson, Brett Norfleet. This Missouri offense is nothing to be messed with. And they can really, like they did, I mentioned this last week when we talked about them, like they had 2 years ago with Cody Schrader and the way they could run the ball, it may be even better right now with Hardy, with Roberts, and with Prabula at quarterback as the option threat. This Missouri offense is a serious problem for anyone they're playing, and I'm telling you right now, we're previewing the game. I know we're going to tease all of them. Boy, oh boy, South Carolina's got a task next week going into Missouri with this offense and the way Ahmad Hardy especially is running the football.
Is he your current Doak Walker Award favorite right now? He might be for me.
I think so. I need to
Jonah Coleman's going off too.
Jonah Coleman's going crazy too. That's true. I mean, he's those two guys.
Hardy's unreal. Right?
Hardy, and transferring in from Louisiana Monroe this year, he's been off the charts.
And he was a true freshman last year, right?
Yeah, Isaac Brown's been super efficient.
Oh, yeah, Brown's been good too.
How about Bo Jackson from Ohio State the day he had? But I would say so far, Hardy, it's Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
Right this minute, it'd be Ahmad Hardy. He just has more volume than Coleman right now. They're right next to each other, 3rd and 5th in the rushing grades. No, it's Ahmad Hardy right now, right this minute. Because he checks out 3 games. Wait a minute, I just see a number right here. 3 games, he's leading the nation. 27 missed tackles in 3 games. 27 on 57 carries. You're getting close to 50% range right in there. I mean, no, it's...
What was Ginty's final number last year? Because he shattered the record for most of the season.
I don't know, 200.
But the previous record was barely over 100 by Bijan Robinson.
108 maybe it was with Bijan?
Yeah, Ginty had like 150 or something.
Yeah, that'll never...
So that'll never get touched. But Hardy could beat the
27 missed tackles in 3 games. He's leading the country.
That's on pace to beat Bijan's number.
That's silly.
Yeah.
Listen... you want to find a way to beat Missouri right now, you better stop the run.
Yeah.
Because they can run the hell out of the
Well,
football.
Bo Prabula is the highest graded passer in the country, isn't he, right now?
He's top 5, I think. I don't know if he's number 1, but he's up there.
You better just hope Missouri's offense doesn't show up to the game, then. That's how you want to beat them.
We get a Missouri-Penn State playoff game? That's the dream right there.
That would be unreal.
I need Missouri-Penn State, and I need Miami-Georgia.
Oh, Bo against Penn State. Man.
Oh, boy. Prabula is 4th in passing grade now.
I had a Missouri fan. We'll get to the next stand. I know Eli wants to kill me right now. But I had a Missouri fan ask me, do I regret letting Bo go for Drew Aller? Of course, I didn't do it personally, but as a Penn State fan. And I'll go, not right now, but ask me in like 3 weeks, and then we'll talk again. Because
Get to the Oregon game?
It looks like Penn State might have. I know Will Levis isn't a great NFL quarterback right now, but they let Will Levis walk for Sean Clifford instead. I like Drew Aller a lot. It's been a little shaky so far, and Bo Prabula looks pretty unreal. But I still am happy with Drew Aller for now, but later on, it could be a problem.
You're hurting.
Later on, it could be a problem. I want to shout out Ismail Mahdi, though, the running back from Arizona. This is a guy who did not really break a lot of tackles in the win over Kansas State, and I don't think he actually broke any tackles. But he had 189 rushing yards against the Wildcats with 155 rushing yards before contact. He averaged 7 yards before contact per attempt. So I want to shout out him and the Arizona offensive line for just kicking ass in the ground game against what usually, and I emphasize usually, is a really good run defense for Kansas State. It was not in this game. So shout out Ismail Mahdi for exploiting the holes that his offensive line gave him, and the offensive line for kicking ass too, because Ismail Mahdi just was running wild on Kansas State on Friday night in that victory. Arizona kind of lacked a balanced offense last year. Not really a lot of run game to speak of, because, of course, Bill Krosky-Merritt, who's now, of course, shining with the Commanders, couldn't play at all last year. They really did miss him. Now they have a really good running back in Ismail Mahdi, and now Arizona is 3-0.
Arizona, were we just a year early in Arizona? Is that what
we're always a year early?
Well, they got a new offensive coordinator, too. So
that means Clemson's winning it all next year.
Seth Daigie's really calling it well for Arizona right now. The only saving grace for Kansas State in that game is that was technically not a conference game. Yeah. It was the same deal as last year. They had a previous out-of-conference agreement. That is the only reason Kansas State still has any hope through this 1-3 start, is that was not a conference game, but it's panic time in Manhattan.
Who is your final standout? Another one coming from Friday night.
Friday night. We had quite a night Friday night. How about New Mexico against UCLA? 35-10 that game ended, I believe it was. How about edge rusher who transferred in from Idaho with head coach Jason Eck and a bunch of other guys. Quarterback Jack Lane was one of them, but edge rusher Keyshawn James Newby, 91.4 pass rush grade against UCLA, 12 pressures.
Wow.
43% pass rush win rate. He leads the nation through week 3 with 22 pressures, 12 in this game. Just emblematic of New Mexico physically dominating UCLA. And UCLA, that's kind of been a theme through 3 weeks. We saw it with Utah. We kind of expected that. Saw it with UNLV. Not great. Now you see it with New Mexico, and again, a team with a new head coach and a whole lot of transfers, especially this is one of many up from Idaho, and he was really good the last, I think, at least an 85 pass rush grade each of the last 2 years. First of all, New Mexico got ripped apart. They lost Bronco Mendenhall. They lost Jason Beck, who's now with Devin Dampier at Utah. They lost the quarterback. They lost Eli Sanders went to USC. They lost everything, and yet New Mexico is still pretty solid now. They went from Jason Beck to Jason Eck, which is only college football, of course.
That's hilarious.
But, I mean, this defense, Keyshawn James Newby and this defense holding UCLA, Nico Iamaleava to 10 points and getting a physically dominating win. Props to him. Props to Eck in that program, the Lobos, and UCLA. Boy.
They're on 0-12 watch.
Yeah.
Because they are 0-3 now after non-conference slate, and you're going into Big Ten play now. I mean, you got Northwestern is the next in 2 weeks, I believe. And then maybe they can win that, maybe Maryland. But the way they're playing right now, no, they're on 0-12 watch. Yeah.
UCLA, it's
a disaster for our Nico Iamaleava.
I think
disaster.
Yeah, that's
not great.
Not much to be said there.
Not great, Bob.
Nope.
All right, I'll go to my final standout of the week. That is Colton Joseph, the quarterback from Old Dominion in this one. Another program in Virginia Tech, like UCLA, kind of not doing great right now. But Colton Joseph upsetting the Hokies. 93.6 passing grade in the win over Virginia Tech. 5 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. Also ran for 62 yards and a touchdown. He helped the Monarchs drop 45 points on their in-state rival in Virginia Tech. And now the Hokies are 0-3 for the first time since 1987. Brent Pry is on a scorching hot seat right now at Virginia Tech. It doesn't really look great for that program, and a big reason why was Colton Joseph, the quarterback at Old Dominion, having a whale of a ball game against them.
I need to throw something out there. Hank, give me 5 seconds because I want to see something with Colton Joseph real quick, because he's known much more for his rushing ability than passing. Coming into this game in his career, he had 8 big-time throws and 22 turnover-worthy plays.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he's known as a runner. His best ability is as a runner. He actually had 2 long touchdown runs a couple weeks ago against Indiana, but he also threw 3 interceptions. Last year, this guy had a 54.6 passing grade. If he's going to get it together as a passer, now Old Dominion's got a dangerous offense because he's always been a good runner. He's a really good athlete, but 5 big-time throws. He only had 8 in his career coming into it. Impressive game from Old Dominion, getting a big in-state win. How about that from them, right? Isn't Old Dominion, they're in Virginia. I mean, in Virginia Tech, boy, 2 straight blowout losses at home to Vandy and to Old Dominion now, and obviously the loss to South Carolina to start. That's tough. That's tough times right now in Blacksburg up there.
Yeah. All right, let's go over the upset picks. Unfortunately, all 3 of us were 0 for 3 in our upset picks this week. FAU lost for me.
Some tight ones.
Jeez. Which I mean, hey, if you picked against Syracuse, like I said before, I picked FAU, and I'm right either way, so at least I could be a jerk.
I don't know how you're right either way.
Your alma mater lost, so at least I'm
oranges.
winning either way.
We're rebuilding. We have a first-year coach. You guys are coming off a 10-win season, acting all high and mighty like that. You're going to get an angry Clemson team in a couple weeks.
Dalton, you're 0 for 3 on the year.
I am. The last two, it's been rough. I've had close calls. Jacksonville State with Georgia Southern. They were tied with about 3 minutes left and just couldn't get a stop. But
I got to check with Eli. How many points do we get for close calls? Is it like half or? It's 0.
If anybody wanted the close call points this week, it was Eli for sure with Tennessee. So
Eli doubling down on Tennessee is brutal. That is brutal for Eli.
That's tough.
Betting on his own team, Tennessee, that's tough. But unfortunately 0 for 3. Hopefully get back on track this week. But before we get on to our preview, we got to talk about the top 25 for the week. Let's go over the top 25 right now. At number 1 for me.
Oh boy.
Still is Ohio State. It was so close.
You couldn't do it. You talked about this all day yesterday with Miami.
I almost did it. Dude, if Notre Dame pulled it out against A&M, that made the Notre Dame win look even better for Miami. If that happened, and it sounds a little weird, but they would have jumped Ohio State. That's the only reason why Ohio State's still number 1. Miami 2 now, moving up a couple spots. LSU 3. Georgia moving up a few spots to number 4. Oregon in the top 5 now at number 5. Number 6 for me, Penn State moving down a few spots, not for losing or anything, just for not playing anyone just yet. But they have an opportunity a couple weeks after the bye week to play Oregon. Texas number 7, Florida State 8, Texas A&M moving all the way up to number 9 now, Illinois at 10, Vanderbilt number 11 after a 3-0 start, Oklahoma 12, Georgia Tech moving up from 25 to 13 after beating Clemson, Ole Miss 14, Iowa State 15. The rest of the top 25 now with Auburn at 16, Alabama at 17, Mississippi State at 18, Tennessee moving down a little bit to number 19, not too far down though. USF moving down a little bit to number 20, Missouri at number 21, Indiana 22, Utah 23, South Carolina moving down to 24 after losing, and Notre Dame barely squeaking in at number 25 even with an 0-2 record. I know Notre Dame has not won a game yet this year, but they lost to Miami by 3 at Miami. They lost by 1 to Texas A&M. Those are 2 of my top 10 teams in the country. Notre Dame still probably should be somewhere in the top 25.
I don't think there's going to be any team more fascinating when the first playoff ranking comes out, the first official one, than to see where Notre Dame is and how they feel about that and how they feel about some of the games that likely they're about to win, and how they feel about the close losses, or is it just that they're losses, or Notre Dame might be the most fascinating team in the first playoff ranking, because that's going to set the tone the rest of the way.
We could get some insight this week. You and I, Dawn and I are actually going down with producer Eli to Dallas to do a mock college football playoff selection thing.
Yeah.
And the committee members will be there. We could probably, once we're rubbing elbows at the bar, maybe be like, hey, what do you think about Notre Dame right now? What do you think?
I mean,
let's get some insight on that.
It's going to be like last year. Now, last year they made it not fascinating because eventually they went 11-1. If you sit here and rattle off 10 in a row with 2 losses, and again, there's not a currently ranked team on Notre Dame's schedule.
Yeah.
So, again, Arkansas lost to Ole Miss. USC maybe is a thing. I don't know that Boise gets ranked again. It wasn't really anybody else that I was seeing on their schedule that I go, okay, in the game at Arkansas, look, Taylon Green's playing really well. And if you don't play well in the secondary, he can hurt you. So, no, Notre Dame's they've got every ounce of work. All the room for error is gone. And this was kind of the nightmare scenario. And now, once again, you're forced to win 10 in a row. But if I forget what exact week it is that the first playoff ranking comes out.
Sometime in October.
Let's say they're 5-2.
Yeah, it's like late October, I think.
Where do we have them at 5-2? I don't know if that's before or after the USC game. That's going to be the big game everybody talks about.
College basketball starts in early November. It's always the first week of college basketball when the playoff starts. I know.
Oh, because they got a TV schedule.
They do the TV thing. I know they do that battle for whatever in Atlanta, New York.
So Notre Dame I think is going to be the most fascinating team now when we get there. Boy, how about Vanderbilt? You got them all the way up there.
When was the last time Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt ever that high? They're not going to be that high in the AP poll. I can tell you that right now.
No, but they should be.
They should be
in the teens. At least somewhere in the teens. Vanderbilt's looked spectacular through 3 weeks.
They were number 10 in 1947. That was the last time they were as high as number 11.
I'll tell you what, get a couple more wins. You know when that'll be because they're very likely to win their next 2 games. And if they go into Alabama 5-0.
Oh, they're in the top 10 easily. Top 5 even, maybe.
If they beat Alabama again, sure, yeah. If they beat Alabama, we start talking about them as a playoff team.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
We're talking about them right now. All right, so when we go to the playoff thing on this week, you got to talk to them about Notre Dame, and I'll talk to them about Syracuse and how we can sneak the orange in this year.
Oh.
That'll be our assignments this week.
Okay.
All right.
You got Clemson in a couple weeks.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Big game.
I'm just saying.
Big game. 1-2 Clemson against 2-1 Syracuse?
I'm going to be like, 2-1.
Oh, wow.
Big win over Colgate.
How about it?
All right, Dalton, before we wrap up the show, you want to go over for the people a loaded Tuesday preview show we got.
Loaded. Can the Florida Gators bounce back? Can they do it against the Miami Hurricanes, the hottest team in college football right now, maybe against one of the coldest? I don't know, but Florida really needs a big out-of-conference win to feel a little better about themselves. We go to the Big Ten. How about Illinois and Indiana? Couple teams, couple ranked teams you had right there. Huge game to settle the Big Ten standings near the top there. South Carolina, as we mentioned, going to Missouri. Is Lenora Sellers going to be healthy enough to go? Can they slow down Missouri's red-hot offense? Missouri all of a sudden feeling like they're good enough to maybe steal a playoff spot there too in the SEC. How about maybe the game of the year in the Big 12? For some reason, it's at noon on Saturday.
These are our 2 Big 12 title picks.
Yeah.
Your champion against my champion.
Texas Tech with their first real test going over to Utah. Devin Dampier, Baron Morton, that may be the game of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
We got the Jackson Arnold revenge game. Mm-hmm. Auburn going to Oklahoma. Gotta love that. What's a percentage chance? It's going to be a pregame fight in that game.
Oh, it might be.
Probably 80% chance, right?
From Arnold,
Auburn, Oklahoma. But Jackson Arnold and Auburn going back to Oklahoma. Michigan playing Nebraska. Bryce Underwood early on with his second big road game. Dylan Raiola trying to prove he's one of those guys against a really good Michigan defense. Couple of teams that we've talked about the American Conference a lot.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it a lot more this week. Tulane going to Ole Miss. And I know you've talked about USF as the prohibitive favorite, G5. Tulane's got wins a big win over Northwestern and a win over Duke yesterday. And now they get Ole Miss, who has looked vulnerable.
Yeah.
Tulane it's a thing. Arkansas has to travel to Memphis to play Memphis. They don't have a big Power 4 win yet, but Memphis has an opportunity against Arkansas. And then finally, back to the Big 12. Arizona State got back on the horse last night against Texas Tech, against Sawyer Robertson and Baylor. That's going to decide a lot near the top of the Big 12 as well. That's a huge game in the Big 12. You've got 9 massive games this week, Max.
Cannot wait for that. Tuesday preview at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on the PFF College Football Show. And I remind you guys, please use the promo code PFFCFB25 at PFF.com to get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. Also help us win the competition between all the shows right now. But that wraps up a loaded Week 3 grade release review show here on the PFF College Football Show. Again, another loaded show coming on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time with our full Week 4 preview show for our producers back there and Tyler and Eli. For Dalton Wasserman, I'm Max Chadwick. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for our Week 4 preview show.